it's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
Sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvellous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang bang and people fall over and are dead, but, no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention.
Hello, welcome back to Generation Skywalker, and we're going to have a little bit of a trip down memory lane with Farthest From tonight, with it returning. So joining me for this show, I have got someone who I first ever met at Farthest From, Grant Criddle. Good evening, Grant.
Good evening, and happy holidays, nearly.
Yeah, what was that funny noise you made while I was still talking then? Was it like, meow?
Chewing gum.
Someone else I also met for the first time at Farthest From is Jez. Good evening, Jez.
Good evening, Stu. Good evening, Grant. Good evening, everyone.
Someone else I also met for the first time at Farthest From is Dan Burgess. Good evening, Dan.
Hello there.
And I think also making up the team tonight, I think I might have met you for the first time at Farthest From, Marc Daniels.
Well,
good evening.
Unfortunately, mate, I think that is true.
Yeah, there you go. A full house. What I would say is I didn't meet Craig for the first time at Farthest From, but sadly Craig was meant to be on with us, but he has been delayed by flights from LA, so he's having a bit of a mare coming back from his wedding. So yeah, Craig, we're thinking of you, buddy, and hopefully he'll be sorted for the weekend, because that will be gutting if he that does knock on. But boys, it is the return of Farthest From. 30th of November and the 1st of December was the last weekend in 2019 that this event took place. So over 2 years ago. It seems like an age since we've been down. It was the last event I went to. But we're going to have a little reminisce tonight. We've got a couple of guests on talking about Farthest From, and just to basically celebrate that event. So first of all, to you boys, what's been your relationship with Farthest From? How many of you attended? When was your first? And what is it about Farthest From that makes it that extra special event for most of us? Now, I'm going to come to you first, Grant, because I think you're probably the one that's attended the most, would be my guess.
I'm not too sure about that, actually, Steve, because I did have a break in 2018 away from Farthest From. So I missed about 2 or 3, perhaps 4. I don't know how many there's been then. It must be...
This is number 22.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been to a lot of them then.
Yeah, that came up today. 22 actual live ones. That doesn't include
Wow.
2 online from last year. But
22 since 2012.
Yeah, so September 2012 was the first event.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I remember that. That was amazing.
Did you go to the first one, did you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. First one in some respects is my favourite.
What, because none of us lot were there?
No, we that is the day I met Jez. So I met Jez the night before. We went back to his place, and 2 of our other friends, Ian and Chris, turned up as well. And
That sounded really dodgy.
no, we went down to Fordingbridge for the day. and that was back in 2012, wasn't it? September 2012. That was amazing, and I think I like that because Star Wars hadn't spiked or peaked like it did a couple of years after. So there was tables and tables, and they would be 3 deep in mint on card. There was loose figures there. There was lots of prototype and concept stuff, and it was the first real forum meetup for the Star Wars Forum UK guys who were active on that forum at the time. So it was like meeting about, once we got down to Fordingbridge, it was like meeting about 10, 15 people that we've been chatting to online for the last 2 years. So yeah, that was special.
Do you remember that trip, Jez?
Very well. I was just reminiscing earlier on when the idea first came to me that we were on Star Wars Forum UK, and it was Dave Tree first floated the idea of this, and it was Star Wars Vintage Collection Days at all the cool stuff, and he put this post up on the forum on the 16th of July saying, I'm looking at doing this. And instantly, because this was before Star Wars had really hit Facebook, and Star Wars Forum UK was a really popular forum, not just for UK people, but global, and instantly there was a lot of people saying, yeah, I'm up for it. And then I just thought, actually, yeah, in for a penny, in for a pound. I don't mind, because I only live a couple of hours away. People can stay at mine the night before. My wife and children are away that weekend, so actually, let's make a weekend of it. Why doesn't everyone come to my house, stay the night, and we'll drive down in the morning? I've got a 7-seater car, so I was quite happy to drive down and just turn it into a bit of a social. And I remember very, very clearly picking up Grant from Didcot railway station and sort of leaning through the window like I was picking up some sort of curb crawler, and like you Grant, you just hop in, mate, and taking him back to mine. And then Ian Sanderson and Chris came back, and we went, and Ian had he had a boot full of carded figures. And he must have had about 40-50 figures. So we had these carded figures come out in my living room, and we were looking at them all and sort of fawning all over them. And it was just lovely to be in that immediate environment where, because I'd never been to a convention before, so already I had found myself surrounded with like-minded people, and I think that was my initial absolute love for this, because I'm in a pretty much a sort of strong I don't know, sort of, what do they call it, alpha type group of people who I work with on a daily basis, who I wouldn't have ever wanted to speak about, Holotube's Tusken Raider, or the difference between a Luke and a DT, and actually, did you know that a Nicto on a Power of the Force card is really rare? I would have never have had those conversations. So all of a sudden, to be immersed in that, it was just such a treat. And the 4 of us got together and then went to the pub the night before, had a meal, just chatted Star Wars all night long, and then we went to Fordingbridge. It was brilliant.
Yeah, sorry, guys, when Jez was saying that there was about 50 carded figures, there was at least 50 carded figures on the floor. We're going to buy some prices right now, because I've actually got some photographs of it, just to give you an idea how much things have changed. So, rough estimate from you, first of all, Dan, of a Darth Vader Return of the Jedi card with the alternative photo.
Now or back then?
Back then, September 2012.
I know what I paid for mine in 2014, so I'll say, I don't know, 80 quid?
20.
Wow.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Weequay, tri-logo. Obviously got the same sort of tri-logo bubble damage. Stu, go on.
Well, for Vader on the Jedi card's 20, Weequay's got to be cheaper.
Go for it. Give us a number, just for fun.
15.
Yeah, 17.50.
Bloody hell, that is ridiculous, isn't it?
Mark, I know you're not really into the Jedi cards, but Paddy Toy, tri-logo, A-Wing pilot. September 2012.
30 quid.
Oh, no, nice. 72 on this one.
Oh, wow.
But it is insane, because looking at these photos, you're just going across and thinking, I should have bought them all. Why didn't I buy them all?
I know. You had A-Wings for 100 quid. A-Wing pilots mint on card for 100 quid. And now they're going loose for, well over 220.
I can't find the image, but there's a Luke Stormtrooper tri-logo, 180 quid. I think it's 150 quid on a R2 pop-up on the tri-logo. just insanity. But if you go through, and I'm sure if we do an enhanced version of this podcast, show some of the photographs of some of the amazing stuff that has been on Farthest From, and some of those prices, especially back on the first couple, looking back now, are absolutely insane.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I just want to return to your story for a minute, mate. I mean, getting 3 people who you don't know off the internet to come to your house is weird, really, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, but I guess I felt fairly comfortable in my skin, and I don't know, I don't want to sound funny or anything, but not much. I mean, Grant knows this, that we've been in various situations and stuff, and not much really phases me. So I was just like, right, if these people turn out complete psychopaths, I'll either do something about that, or it's just 24 hours and it's fine. And so it's just like, it's 24 hours. And if they're weirdos, I will lose them, or something will happen, and it'll be fine. And it was great. You know, the great thing about Farthest From, and we're going to go on to it more and more, but I formed some of my best, strongest relationships within this group, and by going to Farthest From, and I look forward to it so much. It to the point where it occurred to me earlier on, you know, we're in this COVID era, and I was just like, oh, lateral flow test, blah 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 blah. God, I really hope I don't get it, because I really, really want to go to Farthest From. And then it occurred to me, I was like, yeah, Jez, the rest of your family, Christmas, you know, all these other important things. But no, front and center in my mind was, yeah, I've got to go to Farthest From, because it's been so long, and it is that mecca for us. It's just so good. But it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, in for a penny, in for a pound. Maybe I just come back from overseas or something or other, and I was feeling particularly like alpha. I don't know, but I was just like, yeah, just come round to my house, it'll be fine. And it was fine. You know, we did the same thing. We did the same thing with Star Wars Celebration Essen, where it was like, right, I'm going to get a motorhome. Who wants to join me? The more the merrier. If it's just 2 of them, it'll cost this much. If it's 3 of us, it'll cost this much. If it's 4 of us, this much. 5 of us, this much. And and we went off, 5 of us, and went off to Essen for celebration. It's one of those things where you just have to embrace these things. And it took me a while actually to get used to it, because at the time I lived on the RAF station, and I remember picking up Chris Mann and getting him through passes and permits at the sort of station guard room. And not many people had sort of been made aware within my sort of work domain about my absolute sort of geekiness. And I remember Chris being a passes and permits going, yeah, I chose the name Jedi Masters, which was his username. And I was just like, I was dying inside. I was like, mate, shut up, just play it cool, trick, play it cool. Like, you know, don't start talking about Star Wars until we're home and safe. But for now, sort of, you know, I've got my complete geek on. But yeah, it was just great. It was just such fun, such pre-Disney exciting times, and you know, Dave Tree was the man. He just started off, and it was awesome.
I think that answers both your questions, doesn't it, there, Stu?
It does. I think he's answered all of them.
Answered all of them.
You can tell he's had a beer tonight, because he's not stopped talking, has he?
That's true. That
someone started him. He's like, those little monkeys. Mark, now you probably travelled the furthest for us lot to Farthest From, but you do return. Why?
Just a really, really good event. Great to be able to go down and buy something, you know. I normally go down as a trader. I've only been down a couple of times as a punter, as it were, but normally I used to trade. My first one was in 2016. And just going back to what Jez was saying about Star Wars Forum UK being this kind of real sort of hub of vintage collector activity, before Facebook groups kicked in, and, you know, it seemed like everybody migrated there. Everybody was talking about Farthest From, and I remember when I first joined the forum, this sort of mythical event, and Lee, Lee Bullock, my good friend, said, "Oh mate, you've got to go." And as I got involved with the forum, more and more people saying, "Oh, you're going to Farthest From the weekend?" And for whatever reason, I never went. Anyway, cut a long story short, 2016, I decided to, right, let's start trading. So I thought Farthest From is going to be my first event, and this was the December one. So we had the Christmas meal the night before, and instantly just absolutely loved it. Great to be able to mingle, and, you know, all these people that you met on the forum, you talk to to be able to sit in a pub and talk freely, because just remember, every time you communicate with these people before and previously, you're on a keyboard, so you're communicating via messages. Whereas here, you're doing it old school style. You're talking to the person, and it's just on another level. And I think that's the reason why at any event or any opportunity I get where we can meet each other, we've all become good friends over the years, and met so many absolutely amazing people. So Echo Live and Farthest From, these are the two main events for me. It's the buzz. It's the buzz.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. Dan, I mean, I think your first one was the same one as mine. I can remember it being it was a strange one because we just started the podcast up, the other podcast, and I hadn't actually even met the people I was doing the podcast with. It's the first time I rocked up.
What was that, July 2014?
Yeah, I think it was Farthest From 5, I think.
Okay. Yeah, no, I went down. I didn't know anyone. Just been on the forums, I think, since February. And again, everyone was banging on about Farthest From. And I thought, I've got to go. And jumped in the car, gave it a punt, went into the Crown. Everyone was there. And I started piecing together yours and Grant's voices from the podcast. And I recognised the voices. And then, yeah, just slowly get talking to people. And we all hit it off. And we had a great night.
Yeah,
very, very memorable. I mean, obviously the excitement's around the day itself, and I think on that first one I went to, it was Ian Sanderson's last Farthest From before he moved out to the States. So he was having a bit of it sounds like he was offloading mucks for next to nothing anyways for back in 2012. But yeah, I think I ended up picking up 4 minute on cards, loads of box vehicles. I had my whole boot of my car was just full up with gear. I mean, they were selling shuttle Tidariums. I know Ian had one. He had it for 100 quid, and someone else had a box one for 100 quid. And it's just like, why the hell did I walk past that? Just
well, that's
mental.
Hindsight, isn't it? I mean, Grant's just mentioned it there. I mean, you go back to then, I can remember being in that first one and having a pocket full of cash, numbing and ahhing. I was only just getting into mint on cars, and it's kind of like, oh, do I want to spend all my money on that? And now I'm still buying them at the most ridiculous prices.
But even walking into that pub, I remember walking in there, and I think it was Grant and Nick. I didn't know names at the time, but I think it was Grant and Nick Rayner was sat at a table with 2 or 3 vinyl cape Jawas, and I'm like, wow, I'd never seen one in person before, and they're just sitting there with them on the table having a beer, and I thought, yeah, I'm in the right place.
Yeah, well, Apex Grant is. That's why he's got 3 with him. Well, so lovely little intro. Now, I was lucky enough to spend a bit of time recording with Dave himself, actually, the man behind Farthest From. So let's go over to that. I mean, it's a bit disjointed at times because there has been some bad storms today. So we did have a few power cuts, but we got through it. And we do talk about old events, where the idea came from, this whole concept of a love letter to shows from the 90s, through to what is expected on this coming weekend. So let's go over to Dave. Stuart here, just jumping in before you start listening to the interviews. Now, I've done 4 interviews over the course of this show, which you will hear, and for some reason, my sound quality is awful on my microphone. Everyone else's is all right, but me personally, it's terrible. No idea why. These were all recorded over the space of 2 days, so it wasn't like they were all in one sitting. But yeah, bear with it. I don't talk much in the actual interviews. The guests are the ones rocking it. But yeah, just ignore me. It's very hard to do with a face like this. Right, I'm delighted to welcome Dave Tree, the man behind Farthest From. Dave, hello. Welcome to Generation Skywalker.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on, Stu. It's absolutely amazing to be here.
I wish all our guests were as keen. That's great. Farthest From returning, I think I worked it out to be just over 2 years, 30th of November 2019, since the last one.
That's right. So, because I remember it was the 30th and then the 1st of December. And so, yeah, it's a 2-year hiatus. So coming back with a vengeance after all of the roller coaster of the last 18 months or so. Although we did do the live stream things, which were a different kettle of fish and very hard, but very enjoyable. But yeah, it's great to actually have the first proper face-to-face live in-person event again. So yeah, 2 years.
I was going to bring up the online events. Obviously, you did 2 over the COVID period. They were long events. I mean, they were full day, weren't they? 12 hours long?
Yeah, so the first one was at that point in time, you're trying to get your head around, and there was like all this uncertainty, and everybody's, the novelty's completely worn off for everybody now. And when this all happened, everybody was like checking in on everybody and doing weekly Zoom calls to talk to all your friends. I'm like, no, forget all that now. That's all dead and buried and long gone. But back then, where there was so much uncertainty, I decided to do something almost to just in place of where Farthest From would have taken place in May of 2020. And it then ended up being like this much bigger thing than I originally intended on it setting out to be. And the stuff that I was using was creaking under the strain because it wasn't actually built to do what it was doing. I was abusing the software for that. And then the idea with Farthest From throughout all of 2020 was to theme every show where there's normally a spring, summer and a winter event, to theme each show around an aspect of Empire Strikes Back, where it was the 40th anniversary. So the May show would have been a Hoth theme. The summer show would have been a Dagobah and asteroid theme. And then the winter show, the idea was to do a Bespin theme. And of course that all went out the window. So then I thought, well, why don't we do a tribute 40th anniversary one-off thing for the Empire Strikes Back? And then that ended up, I like an idiot, and I'm very good at being an idiot. I said, oh, we'll start at 2:00 so you can get West Coast to join in as much as East Coast as and Europe. And then it ended up being 12 hours. So I was then going till 2 in the morning. I didn't sign up for that. But yeah, it ended up being much bigger and more expansive than I ever thought it would be. But there was also an incredible amount of content. Very fortunate to get some amazing interviews from people connected to the production of Empire Strikes Back. And they were probably the most refreshing interviews for a few years of some of the things that they were covering and talking about. And so if ever you were going to mark the occasion, so to speak, with what you've got to play with under those circumstances, it was a pretty cool show. But yeah, it's there on the Farthest From Facebook page if anyone feels completely insane to lose 12 hours of their life. But if you're into Empire Strikes Back, it's definitely worth checking out.
I must admit, I was on that day, but my wife kept going, "Oh, can you just do this with the kids?" And you're kind of like, "Well, that Farthest From, you wouldn't be able to do that, would they?" Would you? You're like, but no, it didn't work. But it was brilliant. It was what takes more organising, a live show or that?
So that's a good question. Honestly, I'd say probably the live streaming event because of the way it was done. You almost had to have the show done before you went live. So you're scheduling it all, you're making sure it all works. It's uploading because it was done. So anybody who didn't see this, it was done with pre-recorded stuff that was then linked with live links, so to speak. And you have to work out how long the timing. So it is almost like a TV production. And I was very lucky to have people who are much better organized at that sort of thing from that world of media as well, like television and film, than anything I know. So they really were the nuts and bolts of it working like it was. Whereas the events, the fundamental difference is I'm never fully happy with every event. And truthfully, never really happy with every single Farthest From, because I think, I could have, if only I had more time, I would have done this, or if I had some money, I could have done that. And I really always want it to be bigger, better, and more engaging for anybody who comes down. But really, only I know that. Anybody who's turning up to a show is taking it at face value, and they turn around and say, "Oh, that was great. I love it. Can't wait for the next one." So you're not really taking away anything from them because they are enjoying what they see. Whereas the live streaming thing is all forward planning and making sure it was all there and setting the expectations and deadlines and editing and you running a not just the podcast, but you're doing the video channel. It's so much more than just listening in. You're not pressing record and then that's it. That's what you upload. You edit it all down. You do all the graphics. You do all the YouTube stuff. So a lot of these things are way more involved than a lot of people really appreciate. So that's not to say that the live events don't take up a lot of time, effort, and energy. They genuinely do. But like having never done that sort of thing before, there's a reason why I've not done another one since. So, but never say never. But like, man, that last one, the Empire 40 one, jeez, that was a killer.
It was good. It was real good. And actually, I've had a couple of guests come on this show. They'll be later on the show, but one of them was very, very complimentary about the online event and very appreciative of it last year. So it obviously it was appreciated. Let's go back to Farthest From then. Every guest I've had on, we've been trying to work out when the first one was. I think we kind of worked out it'd be 2012. Would that be right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's one of those things I should know and I don't. All I know, and every time I have to almost go back and count every one. This is the 22nd one, as in a live event. That's not including the Empire 40 or Farthest From live stream ones. So there's 22 events, and normally they're 3 times a year, but there has been a couple of years when there's only been like 2. But I remember the first one was in September, and that was a different to what we normally schedule now, whereas always April, May, then in August, then in December. The first one was in a September, and I remember just really not knowing what to expect because I was trying to sell the idea of like, well, let's do this show and like let's actually take it back to the days pre-internet when you would just go to a dingy, dark village hall. And there would be toy dealers there, and you go rummaging through all this stuff. And it worked. It was very, very pokey, and it still is in many respects. But that was really the foundation to sort of build on it. And then I've always wanted people to not. One of the big reasons people go is to get stuff. But wanted it really to become this thing that people make friends, so it's more of a social thing. And then also, if you turn up and you don't spend a bean, you walk away richer for the event because there's talks and panels and things like that. You're getting a chance to converse with live, living people rather than just all on social media, and not really learning in that same sense, because the moment someone puts up anything profound and amazing, it's buried within a couple of hours, and it's difficult for it to get back to the top again for people to then take that on board, because it's then buried. It's just this constant like sieving sand. So whereas if you come down to a show and you can see that someone's going to talk about something, you might say sit down and then become richer for the experience.
Yeah, I think you're totally right there. I think the friendships, it was the first place when we started up the Vintage Rebellion back in the day. I hadn't met any of the actual co-hosts on that until I came to my first Farthest From, and that is where we first all met. But I was talking to Marc Hockley. We were trying to work out the date. He was saying that his first one was number 2, and he was convinced that was December.
That's right.
2012. He said that he had gone to the LEC and bumped into Lee Bullock, who had said that you go to Farthest From tomorrow. need to know what it was. And next week came down. But yeah.
He was too scared to leave. That's what it was.
Yeah, probably. It's a big teddy bear, really. But, do you ever get annoyed when the one thing that always irritates me with these events is you put the posts up, or it'll be afterwards, and people will be sharing their photos or their memories and stuff of the weekend, and so, are you ever going to come to Ipswich, or are you ever going to come to Newcastle? And it just irritates me that your event is in Fordenbridge.
Yeah.
Our country's so small. The Americans, it's smaller than a state, and they travel around. I do find it quite frustrating reading those, especially when you're set in such a. I drive from Kent. It takes me about 2.5 hours, but the last 10 miles through the New Forest is a wonderful drive.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I'm very fortunate to be in a lovely part of the world. It's somewhere where I grew up and then moved away and then thought, are you mad? And then came back to. But that's not for everybody. I do understand it. The idea of it being farthest from is the clues in the name. You know, we're in the middle of nowhere, but also going back to that very, very core ethic of when I first started collecting, you would literally drive for hours and hours and hours, not knowing what to expect. But you'd go to these things. I remember that for me, the furthest I ever went was Blackpool. And me and my mate James, who someone I went to college with, we drove all the way to Blackpool in his Datsun Cherry, and it was incredible that it actually got there. But it was a sort of 4, 5 hour, 6 hour drive, maybe, probably longer. And they had Uncle Owen signing there, and Lou Ferrigno. Who was like the Incredible Hulk, and there was no vintage, and it was like, oh my god, we've just literally driven and we got to drive all the way back again. But you just did that on a punt because there was no other way of finding this stuff other than in Collector's Gazette magazine or Model and Collector's Mart and things. You would do things completely different to how you do it now. And so the show was a love letter to that. So for me, I don't think there's. I do understand that people want things moved around, and that makes sense. But it also means that if I do that, there are things that I won't be able to deliver as an event. So Adam is exactly the same scenario at Echo Base with Echo Live. He's using the Redditch shopping center because if he's got a pre-existing relationship there, and you use what assets you've got available to you, so you can provide and create the best show possible with what you've got available to you, because there's not an awful lot of money to be made out of this. And in a lot of cases, same with Echo Live, same with like Farthest From, you do like fundraising for like various projects and causes as well. So like you want to raise the best money you can, but like every time you spend something elsewhere, that pot is diminished and taken away. So fundamentally, everybody wants everybody to have a good time, but it does mean in some cases you are fixed with certain things. And in this sense, I'm Farthest From is located here, just as Echo Live is at Redditch. But equally at the same time, I would advocate anybody to give it a go and do their own show as well, because there's no one has the monopoly on these things. And the more shows and events there are, the more the opportunity there is for everybody to get together, and the more the hobby grows as well. So I see it as a good thing. So, why not create like these regional events? Because I personally would like to go somewhere to go visit that rather than running around like an idiot running one here. So if anybody ever wants to do anything like that, just go for it. Do it.
Yeah, as easy as that.
Yeah, exactly. And that is when the real test comes in, because it's not as straightforward as you might think it is. Oh no.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, but But was you involved in shows before you did Farthest From? I know you did the Palatoy Archive at the first Celebration Europe. Did you used to put on other shows?
No. So I mean, the Palatoy Archive, that was a completely different kettle of fish for Celebration Europe. That was the guy who was running that for the UK side of things. He's an old friend of mine within the toy industry, and he just said, look, I don't want this thing to be seen as a diluted version of the US events. You know, we got this one shot and we want to have it, you know, own content. So I then came up with the idea of doing that, and because at that point in time it was the 30th anniversary. So the original pitch was you went through like the toys of how they were, and then you came out, terminated that journey into the toys that are today at the Hasbro stand, and then it changed and was switched around, and you know, and altered in various different ways. But that was I would say the first time I've done a non-retail exhibition, if that makes sense. With all the cool stuff, all the cool stuff as an entity's been around since 2005. So I'd be at the NEC for memorabilia, and Empire Day that Showmasters used to do, Chess Hunt toy fairs. I'd be going to those as a retailer, but never actually organised any events. You know, arguably, Farthest From was the first sort of toe in that area, really. So, not really progressed much.
I'd say it's progressed quite a lot since I've been picked up. I think it's definitely evolved, doesn't it? I mean, there's a lot more traders there.
Yeah, I mean, there is always the element of the gold rush I mean, vintage prices in since things started, vintage prices have just gone up exponentially, and it's crackers. And everybody's always like saying, you know, this can't sustain itself, and yet it still does. It's a bit like Funko Pops. I don't get it, but they still keep going. So you wonder how much stuff is out there, and also it then attracts people to then want to sell because they either want to do it to make a fast buck, or they want to do it to like fund their own collections, or it starts off as a hobby and then becomes a business. So yeah, you get like traders that pop up out the woodwork that may do one event every 2 to 3 years. But then also you get a lot of traders who just want to be there before everybody else is, so that they can get to see what everybody else has got. And they shall remain nameless, but there is someone who pays for a table but never actually has a table, just so that they can get in.
Really?
Oh yeah, you could probably make an educated guess.
Yeah.
But they and then every now and then it's like, oh no, I'm bringing some stuff, and it's like, oh, you didn't tell me, you know. So you're then trying to like shunt tables around to like accommodate for a suitcase of whatever. But that's part of the fun, really. You know, it never gets stale or boring in that sense.
No, and these aren't the only events you do now. I mean, we were just talking about it before we came on, but you got a G.I. Joe one, Roll Out Roll Cool, don't you?
Yeah.
I think haven't you even done a Masters of the Universe one in the past?
Yeah, so principally speaking, the main toy ones are, or let me rephrase that. The main active toy ones currently are Farthest From, which is Star Wars based, and then Roll Out Roll Cool, which is Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Action Force. And then in the past, I've done Twins of Power for He-Man and She-Ra, or Masters of the Universe and She-Ra, and Girls Go Retro as well, which was a girls retro toy based event. And I'll be completely honest, out of all of those, the one that was the most fun was genuinely Girls Go Retro, because it was just completely bizarre but phenomenal. It was really good fun, and there's nothing else out there that really caters for girls collectibles. The only thing that comes close to that is you have in the UK PonyCon, but that's very specifically My Little Pony. But there's nothing for Strawberry Shortcake, Care Bears, and all of the other, Cindy, Barbie, Tressie, Pippa, all of the girls' big hitters throughout the 70s and 80s. There's nothing really like taking care of that side of things. Twins of Power was ace because that was working directly with Mattel, and they were very good to us in the sense of allowing us access to exclusives that we were then allowed to sell, and they would send over, at that point in time, it was He-Man Classics, but they'd send over the giant Castle Grayskull that people could then see, like display. So it was really a company understanding the value of their fan base to then get them engaged and excited about stuff. Now, as a toy retailer, I'm always hassling. Oh, and I do a Lego day as well, so that's the other active one. But you're always hassling the brand owners on this stuff, and really the only one that is receptive is Lego, where I forgot to mention them, because they understand fully the end user, and you go to Lego, and it's a bit like when you walk into an IKEA, you have like all of those staged rooms where they say, this is like a bedroom of all of our furnishings, and this is an office, and they do exactly the same thing, but like with their own brands. So they're always stunning, and they understand very better than anybody else really their customer base and who's buying what where. But Hasbro are the incumbent for both G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Star Wars. They are good and bad. They're not, at this point in time, they're not as good as where they have been in the past in terms of like helping resource and things like that. But certainly in terms of the supply of stuff in the UK, it's never been better. If you're a fan of any of those brands, the availability of it, and them opening up like Hasbro Pulse as a channel, doing direct consumer, literally means that they are committed to bringing the stuff over rather than you having to like order it in through third party retailers or shipping it over from like overseas. But they could be a lot better because they should be working with all fan-based events, and it doesn't really take a lot of resource for them to do that. But it's getting the brand managers or the account managers to understand the value of that. And sometimes these people, the people that are employed in those positions, only know what works for them, and they're often overloaded with stuff, so they can't really have the time to see the opportunity to make things bigger or better because they're up to their eyeballs in online questions and things like that. So I'm always a little bit edgy whenever you see people like, dear Hasbro, blah, 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 because they want to sell you toys. That's their ultimate goal. It's not like some kind of conspiracy theory as to why are they doing these things. There is always a financial argument, but there's also a resource argument as well. So yeah, bit of a divert, sorry. But so anybody who doesn't know, I run a toy shop. So that anybody listening to this who's never heard of all the cool stuff myself or Farthest From, my day job is running a toy shop, and I am neck deep in boxes of toys. Literally.
You're also a massive My Little Pony fan, which I think gets overlooked a lot, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I'm all about the pony. So I genuinely have zero idea about it. But my partner Chloe, she is a big My Little Pony collector. But I always get tarred with that brush, and genuinely, I know zero, and it's great because having a partner who collects stuff, she gets the what you're trying to do, and she's very understanding and very tolerant. My God, is she tolerant? But like she appreciates what you're trying to do and why you like certain things. But it also is a double-edged sword that you can't get away with that. Oh, how much did that, or what was that? I was, oh yeah, it's only £10. You know, it's just not gonna, it's never gonna wash, because she's informed enough to know that it's not as likely that it was £10 and probably a lot more. But yeah, good fun.
Just returning it to Farthest From. I mean, you've had some great guests over the years. Sadly, we lost Gerald Home recently, but he came along to always get this wrong. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was a wonderful event, wasn't he? He was a larger than life character. I mean, I sat with him that evening at the mill and had just some of his stories. He was just a great person to spend some time with.
Yeah, I mean, Gerald was. I mean, if you could ever ask for a value for money, I mean, Gerald was 100% it. Because that whole thing just started out as a little bit of a joke, really, to one of my friends and one of your guests on this episode, like Dave Shorter. The whole thing was supposed to be a prank, and Gerald didn't see it like that at all. He genuinely thought the whole thing was an acknowledgement of anything to do with Admiral Akbar and Squidhead. And Marc Daniels did like graphic for it, and he actually did two for the one for the following year as well. But Gerald was like, yeah, this is going to be an annual thing then, you know. And I remember Dave telling me that they were having breakfast in the Crown where I put them up for the night, and Gerald was discussing, like, you know, potentially the following year's plan and lineup that might be. Dave was almost like, yeah, you might have to speak to Tree about that. I'm not so sure, but yeah, it was Gerald was amazing, and he went into such vivid detail with a lot of the stories and things like that. What was great was that he was not bitter about anything, and the fundamental thing that really stuck out of that whole evening that he said is that no one who was involved with Star Wars has the right to feel like they were shortchanged, because everybody done well out of it. And then yes, at the very top you're talking millions and billions and stuff like that, but even so, as far as a job went, you got paid very well for what you did within that. And I that really stuck with me, because over the years where you see a lot of guests, they can sometimes become a little bit resentful and bitter about the whole experience. And it's a bit of a buzzkill, because all of these guys have paid money to come and see whoever talk about something and sign something, and they've got nothing good to say about it. You know, it's almost the never meet your heroes scenario. But like Gerald was very much like, no, you know, we all did all right out of it, so you know, you've got no cause to complain. But we've had other guests as well. I mean, for this coming show, Gus is coming over. This is the fourth time he's been.
Which says a lot about your event, doesn't it? That someone will keep returning.
Yeah, well, I keep hiding his keys, so he has to keep coming back. No, and Gus actually holds the records for coming farthest from as well, where he comes over from Seattle. Shane Turgeon is in second place, coming from Edmonton in Canada, but Gus is coming over for the fourth time. That's amazing. Matthias is popping over from Sweden as well, signing copies of A New Proof and A Kremlin Strikes Back. And we were going to have collector archive services as well, but unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions, they've had to pull out on that. But Ross has assured me that it's not a one-time deal. He wants to come back, and it's looking like most likely it will be this time next year. So providing we can sort of dig ourselves out of everything that's going on right now, and you know, fingers crossed for vaccinations and things like that, that we'll be back to full operating strength next year, and so like Ross can come over and be subjected to, because I keep telling him, you do realize it's about the size of a tennis court. Yeah, it's not big, and he's like, oh yeah, I've you know, kept abreast of everything that's going on, because I'm always worried about people's expectations and what the reality is. But but like you say, for one thing or another, it's managed to attract some great guests.
Exactly. Well, if I had to push you for just your most favourite moment from Farthest From, of all the ones you've done, could you pinpoint one moment?
Yeah, that's I think the one that for those that were there, the Tri logo misprint sheet coming out. So it was a sheet that had gone through the printer, where you have like the CMYK. One of those had been inserted in, loaded in 180 degrees wrong. So it was like a misprint. It wasn't a proof sheet. It was a misprint, and it was a sheet of 30 cards. And the thing is, I had this behind the pop-up display all show, and nobody knew it was there. And it was right at the end. It was like, ta-da! You know, it was like the sort of like whipping off of the cover over something. And I think that was one of the sort of thing that people didn't quite grasp what it was, and then the penny started to slowly drop as to, oh wow, that's quite incredible. But that's that's one that always gets talked about. But probably my favorite really is actually the bits outside the events themselves. So like when there's a rare chance for me to be able to actually chill out and relax with people, and that's why I like the summer one best, because it's light evenings. It's being able to like just join, even if it's only for one pint over the road in the beer garden with folk, for one pint. That for me is actually probably my favorite moments, and it's not even anything to do with the show, because really when the show's open, all I'm doing is like a pinball going from one thing to the next to whatever. It's being able to actually and my biggest regret is never actually having enough time to talk to people either, because the moment you start something, you're being pulled off in but you're being asked to like attend to something else that's going on, or something's gone wrong, or there's a price that needs checking, or something like that. So all you're doing is you're just on constant alert and things like that. But like, it's the chances to be able to like take a break out of it and chill out. And like I said, I can't think of anything specific, but the summer one's always my favorite, because everybody's outside. You know, it's nice and warm. Everybody's relaxed and chilled out. You know, and a lot of people are in summer holiday mode anyway. Everybody's more or less in a good mood. Whereas this weekend, everybody would be cold, layered up. You know, and everybody will have a great time, but it's just not as relaxed as, you know, just sort of sat there having a few beers in a beer garden kind of thing. So, what about yourself?
I think it'll be a good vibe this weekend, actually. Like I said, I didn't go to Echo earlier in the year, so this is my first event since 2019's Farthest From. So,
gotcha. Well, I will say, where we did Rollout Roll Call literally 2 weeks ago, one thing that really came out, was very evident, was people, and it was almost semi-emotional as well, that people realized that they actually haven't interacted with a lot of these people for like 2 years, and it really did stick out, because all of a sudden you got people who are slightly on the fence about doing these things. You know, do they feel comfortable with doing it? Do they have any anxiety and things like that? But literally, when they're catching up with people, even though we're all electronically and virtually connected now anyway, but there was almost an underlying emotion about actually this reunion of everybody seeing each other again. I don't know whether or not if you'll get that with Star Wars, because certainly for that first hour of Farthest From, it's like every man for themselves. It's like, get out of my way. I need to get to that box before you do, and not necessarily about, holy cow, how you doing or anything like that. And it's also normally a little bit of an older demographic, typically than say like the G.I. Joe and Transformer crowd. But I'd like to think that I think people, we all are in loose contact, but I think when it is there and you're like seeing people that you wouldn't necessarily mix with or engage or talk with, I think there, it will actually expose for yourself, Stu. I mean, I know you've had team meetups within the show itself, but when you see the all these other and also what you've got coming your way that you didn't have before is people asking you about Generation Skywalker. So in this period of time, this one's going to be completely different for you. So you got the emotion of like seeing, the terrible emotion of seeing people again, but you've also got people talking to you about something that they wouldn't have talked to you Vintage Rebellion, sure, but like you've now got Generation Skywalker as well. It's going to be a different thing for you. So I think it would be quite cool.
I'm looking forward to the first one being back at Farthest From, because I feel that's where the biggest connection is for as an event. I think it's means the most to most of the group that I'm with anyway. Dave, just quickly to close this out then, the current event, I mean, you've mentioned Matthias and Gus. I mean, have you got, is the hall full? Have you got restricted this time? Has it been?
Yeah, no. So very good question on the restriction front. Everybody who's coming will be required to wear a face mask, and unfortunately that is government guidelines. But thankfully there's no restrictions in the sense of like last year it was like a maximum of 30 people in an enclosed space, so there's no restrictions on that. However, we do have sanitizer on entry, in the kitchen, within the hall itself, and many of the traders will have like sanitizers as well. So fundamentally, first and foremost, safety first. Everybody will be respectful of that and wearing masks because that's the guidelines. And we got to look out for one another within this, because we don't want this to go into a lockdown and then not have another 2 years of this. But that aside, as you said, mentioned Gus, he's going to be doing a presentation. There's Matthias, he's going to be doing a presentation and signing copies of A New Proof and Kremlin Strikes Back. There is the Vintage Rebellion, they're going to be doing a live recording. There is Making Tracks from Fantha Tracks, and Marc will be down doing a live recording. You guys are doing a live recording as well. If there's time, I might do a presentation. I've got something I've been working on for ages, which me personally, I think is ace. And it's actually a look back at the home shopping catalogues within the UK of the Star Wars era. Now, everybody's all seen the Argos pages. They've been shown like a billion times, but like within the UK, you had so many other home shopping catalogues, Kays, Grattans, Littlewoods, and so many more, and they would do amazing like displays, and it'd be great to see the types of products that were available, but then also the comparable things that were around culturally as well, that were Star Wars but not Star Wars, influenced by that whole thing. And I'd like to do a Christmas one of those, so like everybody remembers those as kids, like going through catalogs and almost like memorizing the prices and the names and the numbers, and then putting those on Santa lists and that. So I might do that. There will be possibly I just need to get confirmation, a really cool display as well, but I'm not 100% sure because it's gone a little quiet. But in terms of traders, I do actually have a list here. Check this out. Right, hang on. It is actually fairly bonkers. You've got Paul Waterer, Andy Cooper, who weirdly, Andy Cooper is actually my original Star Wars dealer from 1993. So he's still going. It's incredible. He's coming down. Deflector DC, who do polypropylene protective casing, GW acrylic, all the cool stuff. Andy Golding, Gary Smith, Paul Davis, Jag Cayley, Nick Dykes, collector displays, which are all those amazing custom cabinets that Drew makes. Mark Daniels is coming down, Mark Hockley, Bowman's Green, who do all of the Marvel comic style film posters. They're amazing. The Space Bridge, Paul Milner, and then just waiting to hear from Wayne Totti from Echo Base. Hopefully they'll be there selling like the guides and other merchandise for raising money, and also one of your previous guests, Darren Heyman, as well, who will have the artworks that he's been doing on like vintage style action figures and stuff like that. So that's actually, and then in addition, yourselves and Vintage Rebellion will have like a little presence there that you'll be able to like come up and talk to everybody from like the podcast as well. So yeah, that is it's rammed.
Has got a lot, hasn't it? Yeah. So
we definitely need them sanitizers in there. And that's even without COVID. So
that's brilliant. That sounds a perfect way to jump back in. Also, there's obviously the Family Fun Day on the Saturday as well. Any details on that?
Yeah, so I made a joke earlier about the first hour of Farthest From is like dog eat dog, and it was from that made me think, well, this isn't necessarily the best child-friendly environment. So decided to do a few years ago a Saturday that was more for the kids side of things, and then keeping Farthest From squarely as the vintage toys and memorabilia. So the Family Fun Day, where we raise money for local projects and charities. This year it'll be for the Salvation Army, but we have the UK Garrison and the Rebel Legion all costuming there, so they'll be down for the day. We have like fair carnival type games to allow people like the Coconut Shy and the Shooting Gallery and things like that, but with a Star Wars twist, and that'll allow you to get prizes, and then yourselves will be there as well, and then we got some very special guests. We got we're trying to theme it around the 5th anniversary of Rogue One, which is 5 years, why not? And we've got Guy Henry coming down. He was the base reference for Peter Cushing, for the Governor Tarkin, but he's best known for Holby City and Harry Potter. But he grew up round here, so that's pretty cool that he's popping back. We've also got Brian Herring as well, who is the from the Disney era, puppeteer and performer, best known for the BB-8 side of things. He's the guy who controls BB-8. He'll be signing, and they will both be doing signings and doing talks in the hall at various points. And then at the end of the day, we've got a very, very special talk of a guest. So he's not signing, he's just popping down for the talk. He doesn't really do signings, but it's an incredible opportunity to actually get face-to-face time with Neil Scanlan, who is the through the Disney era of Star Wars, he is the head of costuming and makeup department and creature effects. So all of the things that we've had in the past where we've talked about previous guests, one of the Mon Cal cons we had Paul Casey, who was Admiral Raddus, and Martin Rezard, who was the guy who sculpted the masks for Admiral Raddus and loads of other stuff. But Neil is really the guy at the top of all of that. So he's the guy who helps work with the art department, take those concepts and then help make them reality, and then figure out how do you make it, but how do you animate it? What kind of animatronics do you need in there? Problem solving, then overseeing all of that, and then getting the performers, and then going through. So his insight really is quite amazing, and he doesn't do, as far as I'm aware, he only really does like the sort of celebration type events, and that's probably because he's under contract. He doesn't really have much of a say in the matter, but he doesn't seem to do anything else. So this is genuinely a very rare opportunity to have him just come down. He's just going to talk for about an hour or so. Marc Newbold from Making Tracks is going to interview him, have him up on stage, and that's really pretty amazing. So if you're in that neck of the woods, or in this neck of the woods, do come down. There's also stuff going on in the town during the day as well. It's like a Christmas festivity thing going on in Fordingbridge. So there's lots of other stuff. So it's a great time to come down. It's not just like the Star Wars show going on. And then in the evening we got the Christmas meal going on, and again Brian is staying behind to be the speaker for that, and so he's going to do a talk on Saturday night, as is Gus, and as is Matthias as well. So there's evening content going on as well. So yeah, I'm going to be run off my feet. Come Monday, I'll be dead to the world.
Yeah, have you got the day off? That's back in the stock.
Probably not.
What's the opening time? Saturday event?
So Saturday is 10 a.m. opening and closes at 5. The evening meal starts at 7 and goes on to 11. That is pre-booked only, so don't turn up on the door. If that is something of interest, check out allthecoolstuff.co.uk and go to all the cool stuff events tab for details there, only because we need to pre-book the actual meals for everybody to make sure that the catering's done, which is done by the Crown, which is the pub opposite, and they're also running the bar as well. Now you'll appreciate this, Stu, this is genius. Because of COVID, all pubs have had to do table service, so they now have a pad with all your drinks loaded on there, and they will just literally be punching in what you want, and then that goes to the bar, and then someone runs over with the drinks. So brilliant. None of this ice bucket stuff that I have going on in the town hall with cans and whatever. Forget all of that now. We've got the technology as a result of the pandemic, and they're like, yeah, let's give it a go. And it'll probably go wrong. I've jinxed it now, but yeah. So they'll be doing the drinks and doing the meal, and then on the Sunday itself, slightly later opening time, 11 a.m. for early bird entry. General entry is then at 12 o'clock, and then the show closes at 4.
Brilliant. Well, Dave, I am really looking forward to it. I'm sure everyone else is that's coming along. Sounds amazing. I think you've knocked it out of the park.
Well, let's hope so. Like I said, it's the first one in a couple of years, and it's long overdue. And really, although fundamentally people are looking at this from the toy perspective, that is very much a strong reason. But to get the full value out of this whole thing, don't look at it just as toys. Look at it as a chance to learn things. Look at it as a chance to actually meet friends and catch up with people as well. And then that really is really where you get the full value of this. You don't need the event to take place for you to catch up with people and see them, but it's a great excuse as well at the same time. So yeah, if it's your first time coming down, don't be shy. Literally, just everybody's there for the same reason. So yeah, just talk to people and you'd be actually quite surprised. We all have this shared common interest in stuff. We are actually mentally defective, loving something from 40 odd years ago that we can't quite let go of because we've been brainwashed as kids. So we're all there. We're all affected by the same thing. So enjoy it. Talk to people, make as many friends. Those friends will help you with your collection as well. Gain the benefit of people talking with the panels. Get the chance to meet your heroes with Generation Skywalker and like the Vintage Rebellion and making tracks and sit in, take part. You spend hours listening to this stuff. Now you can actually sit there in front of people talking about it as well as they're recording. So yeah, it's great. Do it.
Yeah, wonderful, Dave. And I'm sure we'll try and catch 5 minutes with you over the weekend for the after show.
Oh God.
Yeah, maybe not such a relaxed day. Maybe
no
more.
refunds.
Thank you so much, Dave, for taking your time.
Sadly, since that interview, which I recorded 5-6 hours ago, Matthias has sadly had to cancel due to restrictions with regards to COVID. So a bit of a shame, but Matthias is meant to be returning next year. I'm going to come over to you, Jez. Since its inception, I mean, you were at the early ones. Yeah. The show has evolved, hasn't it? It has changed quite significantly, as much as it can in a village hall. What have been the most significant changes since the first one you went to?
Yeah, okay. So the most significant changes is potentially the footfall and the amount of vendors coming in, and the fact that it's migrated from just a Sunday to a weekend event, and which often then also includes a Saturday night special Saturday night entertainment or something put on by Dave to sort of bridge that gap between the Saturday and the Sunday. So the Sunday started off as the vintage day, and I was actually looking at some photographs earlier on, which show and one thing which has been constant, I believe, I've been to all but 3 of them. So that makes 19. Wow, that's a lot of traveling, a lot of accommodation, but absolutely worthwhile. So the one thing which has remained constant is the town hall. So this is just opposite from Dave's fantastic store, all the cool stuff, which is brilliant because throughout the day you're able to sort of nip in and out of this other shop to see what his wares are. But the amount of people going in there, before you would imagine it's, say, the 3 sides of a rectangle as you walk into this hall. So either side and at the end you would have vendors. And then with the success of Farthest From, the stalls then ended up sort of doubling down the middle as well, just because he couldn't cram enough people in. Stalls and things have ended up going upstairs where there is a second floor. And but the main excitement is downstairs. Now, also initially, there were presentations going on. And in fact, I did my own one day when, because Dave was always asking on the forums, does anyone want to do a presentation on this, that, and the other? So Farthest From, it was a combination of vintage sales, but also a little bit of education / just a little bit more with regards to the vintage collecting. And as it evolved and onto the Saturday, it became a bit more of a sort of family fun day with a great deal of Jedi news involvement, which then sort of morphed into Fanta tracks and those guys doing a variety of things. You've also seen advances in additional guests coming along. So, be it people doing some signings or some smaller sort of actors from the Star Wars era or collectors. And then we've seen people like Matthias and Gus and Duncan coming along. And it's just been, I said it earlier on, it's that mecca for collecting. And even though it is Farthest From, it's from a geographical point of view, it's not ideal for people, but people do go there. People travel from far and wide. Rich was traveling down from up north, from Newcastle, coming all the way down. It's just brilliant.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, well covered. It definitely has grown. What about the rest of you? Changes you've seen, liked? What do you think's worked? What do you? I used to love it when the seats used to be in the middle of the hall, and you used to have all that bustle the first couple of hours where you're doing your buy-in, and then as it kind of calmed into the afternoon and the hardcore were there, they would sit down and watch. I mean, I've watched Grant do a presentation in there. I think it was your Helix trial run before your celebration, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was in 2014. And there was a guy who had a stall there, and on the stall he had a five Helix pen pack, which is, as Marc will support me on this, is a pretty tricky one to get hold of. I couldn't afford it at the time. I think he wanted £750 for it, but I think it was either Mark, it might be Mark Newbold from Fanfatrack said, "Oh, I know a guy called Craig Spivey. Here's his contact details. You want to contact him because he collects the Helix stuff." And on the way home from Farthest From, that's my first contact with Craig.
You rang him straight away.
Yeah, I rang him and said, "Hey, man, I found something for you to buy."
It's a real shame he's not here to be able to say, "Hi, this madman."
And then I sent him the presentation, and from that it exploded into what it did. But yeah, I think also, do you mind a little memory lane monologue just to highlight some kind of
what it's all about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking at the first Farthest From, I know we touched it going to the Jez's house and the nostalgia of finally meeting like-minded people and building castles out of carded figures and all that kind of stuff. It was amazing. But there was also at the first Farthest From, I don't know if you remember this, Jez, but it was quite a run of Power of the Force concept prototype logos. Do you remember when those were things going around?
Yes,
yeah.
Mate, yeah.
You don't see stuff like that anymore, do you? The second Farthest From was where Gus and Duncan came, and they were selling those 3 books. And we had that gentleman who joined the forum, and he'd gone into his loft and he found all those sealed 12-inch dolls and carded figures and a sealed Palitoy 3-position laser rifle. And he brought them down and was selling those off. And then the third one, which really sticks out to me, that was just as the Toy Tony scandal broke. But there was a presentation box in there that a collector brought down. And in that presentation box, you had a Canadian Sears shrink-wrapped General Veers and Han Bespin, a POC Luke Bespin on the card, a Rebel Commando prototype on a on a Lando Kenner Empire Strikes Back card, a Palitoy 12-back Jawa, cloth cape and vinyl cape. When there was a big deal about whether the vinyl cape existed or not. A Klaatu prototype figure on a carded Klaatu card. Harbert Yoda and the Canadian walking R2D2, all in like a presentation case. There was French Meccano baggies in a display box. Lee had done his 12-inch doll presentation as well, action figure presentation. Sorry, and that was the kind of that we would be able to go there and just see like really high quality stuff. Not just there was plenty of carded figures, plenty of loose figures, but there was always real breathtaking museum size pieces there, or maybe someone would bring some props down for us to look at, like an Ewok head, or a painted storyboard, or the Palitoy posters, like the toys from the film we hear, Star Wars poster, or the Emperor mail away poster. Some really sort of stuff you just don't see in the flesh.
Yeah, I remember you had on the first one, you had Lee. Is it Lee Gray just walking around with his graded Vlix? He was just
prototype
Vlix. Yeah, it was a prototype Vlix.
Prototype Vlix, yeah.
There was one when I think Dave had a large sheet. I don't know how it's properly described, but the Tri-Logo sort of proof sheet, the pre-cut Tri-Logo proof sheet, which he said that it's not legend had it, but by all accounts there was a load of meat was wrapped up in this or something or other, and a butcher had used it to wrap up a load of meat, and that was just there shown. I mean, who wonders or dares to dream what they'll be there this weekend, and it's just some rare treats. I mean, God, we need it. We really need it.
Friend of ours as well, Marc, he had his proof run there, which consisted of a complete Revenge proof run, plus loads of other proofs as well from Empire, Revenge, and Return of the Jedi. But that Tri-Logo proof sheet, that definitely spun some heads, because it had the Leia Hoth on there, it had the Tri-Logo Jawa on there.
Yeah.
Proper hardcore awesome piece. But yeah, that's just the first 4 or 5 Farthest Froms, and you said there's been 22, so there's been a lot of that.
Can you remember? So we did this thing where. So we started it off where it was just a Sunday, and then so the first one was Saturday night in my house, and then it went on, and then I think the second one, it might have been the second one where I said, right, let's I'm going to rent the motorhome, the RAF Benson Station motorhome, and let's drive down and camp overnight. So maybe that was a second, I don't know, because we had then sort of got into the whole let's just stay there the night before and have a good session in the pub. So it then evolved that we were doing our own sort of lads' nights out, and as I said, it then evolved it. Dave said, hey, come over, let's extend the fun and actually end up having some talks and some, there's Marc made reference to the Christmas one earlier on, but there were other things. We had Gerald Home come in to do a whole thing where he was, spinning some dits and reliving some yarns about times on Jedi. But the whole thing, I think sometimes, even when people have got no money, no disposable income at that time, and there'll be people there this year who are just thinking, actually, a little bit Stony Brook, but they'll be able to afford the entrance fee or just to come down the night before, because part of the appeal is not only being, what Dave is able to provide for us, but it's just that, again, it's that gathering of like-minded people, isn't it?
And that 12-month payment plan.
Yeah, let's not forget that. You and your payment plans.
Let's just talk about traders. We've already mentioned it. My first one, Ian Sanderson, had some amazing pieces that day when I was there, and it blew my mind. And I can still remember I bought a Cloud Car Pilot mint on card, which I've still got to this day. I bought an Obi-Wan and lots of other bits and pieces. And you come home and, that buzz of buying mint on cards. I think you say it quite often, Grant. There's still nothing quite like buying a mint on card. There's still something really special when you do purchase it. So, first of all, as a sales point, Marc, I'm pretty sure Echo, you would make more money as a trader because of the footfall. Is it better selling at somewhere like Farthest From, where you can actually have a proper chat with these other collectors, whereas a busier event, you don't get that opportunity?
I personally don't think there's a lot. Well, for me personally, anyway, I don't think there's a great deal in it. There has been some sort of parallels drawn between Echo Live and Farthest From, and I think they're two different, very, very different animals. Echo Live has become this sort of behemoth of a show where, every time it gets bigger and better, more traders, more people through the doors, and Farthest From has remained this very small, sort of closely knit environment, the show, and I think that's done on purpose, and that's nothing to take away from what Dave wants to put on as a show. I think credit to him, because he could have moved the show and made it bigger and been a real sort of big draw down south. But for me, as a trader, the smaller event is, I don't know whether I'd say it's better to, converse with people for longer or whatever, because I do that at Echo anyway, or did do that at Echo. I think what you get is people having very, very narrow visions when it comes to what they want to buy, because you only have a small amount of people through the door. And what I've tended to find is people coming in looking for very specific things. Whereas when I've been selling at Echo, I found that people yes, they want specific things, but also they see stuff that they didn't realise they wanted and end up buying anyway. Many's the time when I've been to Echo and they've had to go to the cash point to get more money because they want something they didn't realise they wanted. Whereas Farthest From, I've always found it to be a bit more, like I say, focused.
I suppose the one thing about selling at Farthest From is it is vintage. It's wall-to-wall vintage. That's what it's there for. That's what it does, isn't it? That's
you do get traders there that don't normally trade anywhere else. From what I've known before in the past, so a couple of guys there that don't trade at the NEC or Barry Potter fairs or Live will turn up at Farthest From and have a small table or a couple of tables and sell bits. So that is a good point.
To support that, I think at Farthest From, I think when it comes to quantity, Echo's got so much there. But Farthest From, I think that's where you'll find someone selling a complete droids line of carded figures, or complete set of revenge proofs, or some of the hardest tri-logos and stuff. There seems to be a lot more highbrow items there. Mind you, it might be that I'm just late through the door at Echo and it's already gone.
Indeed. Right, so I'm going to go over to another interview now, and actually someone that trades there all the time. I think he tells me during this interview that he's traded since Farthest From 3 and hasn't actually missed a show, and he is again trading this weekend. And that is a good friend of ours, Marc Hockley. And he was telling me in this interview that he hadn't heard of Farthest From, and he had gone to the NEC at Christmas in 2012 and bumped into Marc and Lee, and they had asked him, "Are you going to Farthest From tomorrow?" And he had said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And they explained what it was to him. So the next day he rocked up down at Farthest From as a punter, and the rest is history, so they say. He's been there ever since. So there you go, Marc. Without you...
I didn't know that. I'll tell you what it was. It was the NEC, and we were all stood at Jim Stevenson's stand, which was the last time Jim ever had a stand anywhere. And at the time, obviously anybody that knows Jim Stevenson will know that he is the sort of granddaddy of Star Wars vintage collecting and vintage TV and film toys, full stop. It was a kind of meeting of minds. I think Lee roughly knew who he was and had a chat with him, but I'd never met him before. And absolutely lovely guy. First time I'd met him, and we talked about Farthest From, and I hadn't even been down there, and Lee was talking to him about it.
Yeah. Well, let's listen to that interview, and you'll hear his side of the story. I think you've given it a bit more detail than what Mr. Hockley did, though.
Right, now I'm delighted to welcome Marc Hockley. Marc, hello. Welcome back to Generation Skywalker. You've been on several times.
Yeah, hi. Thanks. Nice to be back. How you doing?
We're all good, mate. All good. So tonight we're only doing a short show tonight, so I'm just getting a few people on who are regulars to Farthest From, and obviously since I've been coming, I can't think of a time when you haven't been there. You're always there, Marc. Why Farthest From? What do you like about Farthest From that makes you always attend?
Oh, I love it. It's it goes right back to, I think it was back in 2012 when I first met Mark Daniels and Lee Bullock at the Birmingham NEC show, and I'd never met them before. And me and my wife were just having a look around the show, and I saw that this stall had some 12-inch Lily Leddy figures on it, and I just said to him, 12-inch Lily Leddy, and Lee's like, so you know about them? And I was like, yeah. And so we just bonded over dollies, and just got chatting about the Lily Leddy stuff, and after a little while chatting to the guys, they both said, so you going to Farthest From tomorrow? I'm like, what's Farthest From? Didn't have a clue, never heard of it. Wasn't on the forums enough to really sort of pick up about it. And so needless to say, I went the next day, and that I believe was Farthest From 2, so I'd missed the first one. And went to Farthest From 2, met Dave, and all the guys there, and picked up a few things. I remember getting a mint and sealed box due back from Matt Booker, which cost me the princely sum of 60 quid, and he had up at 75, and it was like mid-morning, and he was like, I'll do that for 60 for you. Still got that to this day. Bought a few jigsaws and a Black Robot Stormtrooper bootleg thing that you see sometimes, battery operated thing. Still got that as well. And that was my first Farthest From. I got a feeling it was December 2012, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I think it was December 2012 because it was the day after the NEC, and I had a note scribbled in my little black Star Wars book of when I buy things. It was December that I met Lee and Marc at the NEC. So yeah, it must have been the December 2012. But David, correct me if I'm wrong.
You carry a little book to mark when you buy. That's a great idea, because I always hear everyone going on about, I've got a spreadsheet so I can keep track of what I spend and what I think.
Spreadsheet as well, but that's kind of retroactively sort of trying to put stuff into that. But I've got a little like moleskin Star Wars notebook thing that I got for Christmas. I must have got it for Christmas the year before, 2011. And I dug it out and started writing in that. So the first note in that is notes 7th of December 2012, Farthest From 2. That's the first note in this book.
Such a good idea, because I haven't got even a spreadsheet, because it feels like too big a job for me to go set one up. So it's kind of like, apart from about 3 or 4 big purchases, I don't know where I got stuff or how much I paid for it. How has it evolved since number 2? I mean, was number 2 a quiet event?
I mean, number 2 was a real eye opener for me, because up until that point, I was a member of the forum and a couple of like Rebel Scum and things like that, but I very rarely went on there. So really collecting before Farthest From was like a really sort of solitary thing. And from that day forward, it's always been about the friends that I've made at Farthest From, and that's what it's become about. It's the social thing of it all, and also it's that networking thing of it all. So if you're looking for something, or if someone else is looking for something, and you're looking out for it for them. And I love that, especially now when I don't buy as often as I did, because I've kind of got a lot of the things that I wanted, and I've kind of whittled my collection down to the sort of the main things that I love. It's not very often I get to pick something up. So if I can spend someone else's money and find something somebody else is looking for, that makes me happy. And all of those friendships were all born out of Farthest From. It means a lot to me from that point of view. And I remember like key pieces in my collection and who I bought them from and where I bought them, and quite often it's Farthest From.
You're a trader. I think you just told me before we were on. Yeah, first one you sold out was number 3.
Yeah, first one I went to was number 2, because I literally found out the day before about it. And then Farthest From 3 was the first one I had a stall at, and that was when Gus and Duncan came, I believe, the first time I met them. And I still remember getting the mintiest Death Star droid that I'd ever loose Death Star droid that I'd ever found anywhere. I bought that from Ian Sanderson at that show, and at the time it was like, I think it was £35, and it was such a lot of money to spend on one figure that wasn't really a rare figure, but it was pristine. And it's
to find in good condition.
Yeah, I mean, even my childhood one was something I traded off of a kid that lived 3 roads over, and it was like been thrown out of bedroom windows and stuff. So even my childhood one was tatty. And but yeah, I bought this one off of Ian at that show, and it's still the one I've got today. I've never found a better one. That was the first one I sold at, had a table at, and I think I've done every single one since then. Even the one that wasn't in the same hall. We did the hall across the way in Fordingbridge one year.
You're a nightmare trader for someone like me, because
well, I'm not. The thing is that my heart's not in being a trader. I've never really been a trader. I mean, like before. When in my 20s, I used to do like some of the toy shows, like Chess and the NEC and that, and it was only ever ways to kind of be there and to sell a few bits but buy a lot more. But it was I never sort of made friends and hung out with other dealers. It was always sort of like the competition at those sort of things, or it felt like it to me, coming in and just being the new kid on the block, because you had the big dealers there like Jim and that were just. You'd be looking through that like the sweet window at Christmas, just wishing you could afford to buy something from that store because everything was so pristine. But for me and my mate, we just rock up, hire a van, rock up, throw a few things we'd sort of tired of, and just try and trade up and get some things we wanted, get rid of some things we weren't going to keep. But Farthest From was, from the get-go, was just more friendly than that. And in fact, the best deals ever done at Farthest From were done at the end of the day with each other. Or start of the day sometimes with some key pieces. I never even get to sit on the table when everybody else rocks up because we've already spotted it. But the end of the day is always my favourite. And it's not always big deals. It's just, sometimes it's just so you don't take the same stuff home. It's literally like, oh, I don't want to take that back. And that's where you fall foul, because that's where I always say to you, you like that, don't you? And you go, yeah, but I'm not going to get it today. And I go, well, just take it and just give me the money when I see you next.
Yeah, that's the worst thing, mate, because I walk past, I'll probably come over to your stall just before it starts and have a little nose and probably take a fancy to something. And then every time I walk past you during the day, like, you're still here, mate. And at the end of the day, like, I'll take it and square up with me. And then I get home with it and I'm like, oh, I hate having debt like that. So then I end up paying. That's like, I think if I just turn around now, I can see a Kenner Death Star, which I know was that story. I can see an Empire Strikes Back, what they call corkboard, which I know was you, and sitting right to my left is my beautiful Ewok, which I didn't wait till the end of the day for that. But and
there was a bunch of mini rigs as well, and I remember I probably remember all of them actually. But it's that thing of like you go there to because you wouldn't want to miss it in case there's something you want to get, and like anything, because I don't sell anywhere else. You say about me being a dealer, but I don't sell online a great deal, and I don't sell at any other shows. So for me, if you didn't buy it that day, you'd only be buying it the next time I saw you at Farthest From, because it's not going to go in between, you know. So I'd rather you took it, and if you really wanted it, that you took it and enjoyed it and paid for it when you can, you know. But we've known each other a long time, you know. We say we've known each other 8 years.
Got any standout pieces on your stand this weekend?
I haven't really figured quite what I'm selling. I've got a few things I might sell. I've got some nice loose figures and like I'm slimming down variations and things. So I've got a full set of figures in a cabinet. So I don't need to keep all these other ones really. So there's some stuff like that.
I'm coming back to give my loose run, Marc. So this weekend,
yeah. And there's nothing breathtaking as in rarity there, but the condition is really nice on these. And and I've just got a thing where if I can't display it well, I kind of let it go. But it's difficult because I've got some multi-packs and that I can't display them all, but I can't decide which ones are going to go yet. So I've had one set aside for a week that might go, but I don't really want to sell it. And the other thing is I've got no idea what anything's worth, so I have to spend this week kind of pricing stuff and looking at previous sales, to see where to sit with the price on it. So the main reason I've got a table is because I want to be there. So I'm probably going to scrape together enough stuff to fill a table, but it probably won't be my biggest stall. But if it doesn't sell, it just goes, you know, back into the collection and just doesn't display as nicely. That's all that really happens. But,
are you sleeping in your van? I mean, I can remember one night you were come down. I think you must have done a gig the night before nearby.
Yeah, I can't remember where I was the night before.
Slept in your van, and I think me and Grant staggered out of the hall, having had a few drinks, and you were we were staying in Ringwood and couldn't get a taxi back. Like 1 a.m. Grant had you.
Yeah, you were incredibly drunk, as I recall. Grant was only just behind you. Yeah, I took you back to the guest house, didn't I, in Ringwood? I think you fell asleep. One of you fell asleep, like literally on the first roundabout. Yeah, that was fun. I must have been somewhere near enough to get there at the end of the night, but not near enough to have got there. I think it was probably the Isle of Wight, but I had to wait for the ferry to get over, and by the time I got over, the pubs had shut. You guys were just kind of rattling around. Yeah, I remember that. I don't have that van anymore, actually. I've gone all normal now. I've just got a car that I do all my gigs in, so that's not an option now. And I can't remember where I am the night before, but the Friday and Saturday night I'm gigging, so I'll just be down there on the Sunday morning to set up, which is a shame because I'd love to make the night before. I've made the afternoon before, and before you all have your Christmas dinner, and then I've had to go to work. I've done that a few times, but I don't think I'm near enough to do that this time.
I'm waiting for Dave to hire you for a Saturday night.
He's threatened to so many times, and I always talk him out of it because no one wants that. Next year we're going to have you for the Christmas, and I was going, why? Why would you do that? It's Bublé and Robbie. No one. We're all 40-something-year-old men. No one gives a hoot. It's like it would be the toughest gig of my life. I'd just be getting heckled, and also like I just, you know, after everything he's done for us all, I couldn't charge him, and I can't afford not to work. It's one of them catch-22 situations. It's far easier for him to not book me than it is for me to go, all right, yeah, no, go on then. But yeah, if it goes on for long enough, one day I'll probably be in a wheelchair and grey-haired, but I'll just rock up and sing a bunch of Christmas songs.
Pubs into playing here. Yeah, that is it, Marc. Just a song. I'll leave that with me for the spring show. You do it on the Sunday.
But the only song that anyone's ever going to find palatable is me a Christmas song. So it's got to be a Christmas one, isn't it? No one wants to hear like "Cry Me a River" or anything, do they?
I reckon a lot of people would
Christmas sings
actually have something like Mandy or the Coke and Tobacco.
I love the fact you perpetuate this myth that I'm thinking. I've forgotten his name now. Barry Manilow tribute.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
You don't know. Back on track.
Yes.
What has been your favourite purchase from? Have you got a standout purchase that you made at Farthest From?
I don't know. I mean, I've got a few. I knew you were going to ask me a question like that, so I kind of went through my little black book and through my photos, just trying to jog the memory because it's not what it used to be. And I've kind of got highlights of a few, like first meeting Gus and Duncan, that was cool. And then 2013, the Christmas one, 2013, which I think was Farthest From 4, which did you say was the first one you went to?
Yeah, which is right at the start of 2014. I think.
Oh, see, I'm confused. See, there was one Christmas 2013, which is the one where there was the uncut tri-logo sheet. Do you remember that? Were you there for that?
No, that was just before I.
Right, I've got a feeling that was Farthest From 4, but I might again. The numbers get wobbly, but the dates are true. And see, I met Gus and Duncan. Yeah, that was March 2013. That was the one they came to, and then the December one that year was the uncut tri-logo sheet, which was amazing. It's like 30 tri-logo card backs in one big block, which is Dave's, I believe. Dave was certainly who was showing us it. Where he owned it or whether he was displaying it, I'm not 100% certain on. But that was bonkers, and that was, I believe, the first time I saw the Popey run as well, because Gary Smith brought his full Popey run to that show, and that planted the seed for me to do that run. And then my wife did the show with me a couple of times, which was very tolerant of her. I remember Mark Walsh sold off his proof run in 2015, and I bought my Argonaut proof, which I still have now, from him. And then 2015, Gerald Home did the show, and that was amazing meeting him. He was really cool, and he did an auction where he auctioned off some pieces he brought to raise some money for the charity groups. And I've still got my C3PO Polish bootleg figure that I bought from him in the auction. And he was really sweet, because when he signed the photo for me, he said, "Thanks for buying the figure, the photo." And it's like, of course it is. It's a cool figure. It was a nice story, and he was really, really nice. And I think that was the same show I bought my blue Snaggletooth baggie, which again I've still got. So that was quite cool. And then I suppose it's the usual kind of, if I'm picking pieces, it's the usual kind of standout things in people's collections. So blue Snaggletooth, in that case a baggie, but vinyl Cape Jower I bought from Nick Rayner at Farthest From in the spring of 2016, which I've still got to this day. Never had one before. I only had a cut down Ben cape, that I'd had from the 90s. So it was nice to have a real one, which he did for me at a great price. I think I paid $670 for it. It's like pocket change now compared to where they're at. And I've never had it graded. It's just put on my 12 stand, but it's really nice. And then Paul Blake came to Farthest From in 2016 in the August. That was cool. He was really, really nice, really candid, chatting to everybody. And I remember him telling me that he seemed to remember that he took the gun from filming, the prop gun, home with him and gave it to his kids, the Greedo blaster.
Really?
And he said to me, because one had a blaster, I can't remember if it was a Stormtrooper blaster or what, but something had been auctioned recently. And I was saying to him about that, and I said, "Oh, you didn't keep anything, did you?" And he goes, "Well, I'm sure I took the gun home, but it just went in the toy box." He said, so the end got broke off it. And this was 5 years ago we had this conversation. I've no idea whether, it's turned up since then or what, but he seemed to remember that he took it home and the boys played with it and it went in the toy box and bits got knocked off of it, but it was still around somewhere. And I said, "Well, you might want to dig that out because it might be a pension." So, but he was really nice, really candid. It was just good to spend that amount of time with him,
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, and then just whenever there's been big guests come over, like Stefan come over for his French touch book, that was cool. Put faces to my names, Yeah, and on a Cardiff Fet, I remember a lot of my key purchases seem to have come from Nick, because I bought my Cardiff Fet from Nick, 2017. So yeah, purchase wise, probably that's a few. I've got some Palatoy 12 backs again that I bought from Nick. That probably ticks those boxes.
Some lovely choice pieces in there, Mark. Thank you so much for hooking up with me tonight. Now,
that's right, mate. Thanks for asking.
Generation Skywalker are down there this weekend. We are doing some interviews, so I will grab 5 minutes with you while we're at the event when you're not busy on your stall, cool. And be interested to see what you purchase. So we'll listen out the other side of Farthest From to see what Mark's spent his money on, and I'll let you know what was on his stall, because at the moment it sounds he could be selling them.
I've not got a clue. I'm sitting here looking in this room, just looking around, thinking, well, maybe that. But I'll certainly know by then. But I think in summary, the main thing with Farthest From is that you remember is just the hanging out with your friends and just like going to the pub with Gus and having a Guinness and just those kind of things, and that's the fun time, eating steak with friends and drinking beer with friends. And
precisely, mate. Looking forward to it, my friend.
Me too. No, I can't wait.
And brilliant. And of course, Marc is there this weekend selling, doesn't know which mailer to put on his stand yet, and hasn't chosen what he's selling. So interesting. Could be an empty stall. So boys, let's have a quick go round now, okay? Nothing too long here. First of all, what's been your favourite pickup from the show and why? So Dan?
Oh, I'm going to say my Empire Strikes Back Power Droid, and purely because it was such a bugger to find, getting a Power Droid on an Empire card. I don't know whether that's something that other people have experienced, but yeah, Andy X-Wing was selling one. It was really nice. I think he wanted 200 quid for it, and at that time I wasn't paying more than £100 for a mint on card. So I walked away and I was like, drove home, messaged him, and he said, yeah, I've still got it, it's yours. And he had a Canadian snowtrooper as well that he was selling for £100. So I ended up buying both of them. I didn't actually receive them at the show, but through the show I managed to get both of those. Yeah, that was a memorable one.
Jez?
Dude, I've been to 19 Farthest Froms, or this will be my 19th. It's very, very difficult to think of my favourite pickup on the day. However, my favourite pickup connected with Farthest From is a wonderful carded and Meccano Jawa, which I was very, very spoilt to get after the first Farthest From the story which I told earlier on, from where I put these reprobates up in my house for the weekend and drove them down to Farthest From and back. A couple of weeks later, a carded Meccano Jawa arrived at my house as a thank you, which was, I think, for me, my absolute Farthest From most treasured possession. That said, I've picked up all sorts, so many different things, carded figures and bits of paraphernalia and beyond the toys stuff. It's really, really difficult to put my finger on it, but without sounding really, really sappy, and there will be people who are driving to Farthest From now who will probably smile when I just say, one of the biggest things you take away from this place is the friendships and the relationships which you make and forge. And I mean, goodness me, it's been so long since we've all seen each other. I know that that's probably the most important thing that I'm going to be taking away from this weekend is just seeing all you guys and get together. If I take away a little bit of vintage, brilliant, but it's just being there which is important to me.
No, you little sweet thing, aren't you? Grant?
I've got a couple actually. Try and keep it short. When we first met up at Jez's place on the first night, a friend who we were with at the time took a Luke Stormtrooper Tri-Logo out the box. And I said to him, look, mate, if you ever leave the hobby or want to get rid of it, give us first shout on it. And he did end up leaving the hobby, so I did end up getting that and kept his word on that one after a couple of years, which was great. Tri-Logo Luke Bespin as well, and a Tri-Logo Amanaman on the second one. So I love that figure. That figure is one of the reasons I got back into collecting. So to get it on the Tri-Logo card as well, that was really exciting. There's loads because it always goes. You go up to someone's stall, like I'm looking at Andy. I think Dan, was it you just said about Andy's stall, Andy X-Wing?
Yeah.
And I've got a photograph of his stall up from about 2015, and it's got a Tri-Logo Emperor's Royal Guard on it. It's got a Star Wars and Empire Luke Farmboy on it. It's got an A-Wing on the droids card. There's just so much stuff on it. And you'll have a look at something, and because they're your mates, I go, tell you what, mate, just take it. And pay me a bit back every month, isn't it? You're like, no. Well, go on then.
I was going to say, I've just leant over my shoulder and counted through all of my mint on cards, how many I've bought at Farthest From, and I've got around 90, and 20 of them I purchased at Farthest From over the last 8 years or so. Well, 6 if you really count it without the downtime we've had. It's not bad going.
That's a good game to play, mate.
Marc, what about you?
Probably my reseal Palatoy Luke Hoth 45A, which I got off a chap called David Aiken, who has helped me enormously with my reseal run. I mean, he really has sort of, not only has he sold me a lot, but he's also fed me information to others that are selling. So he's been instrumental in helping me put that run together. And this reseal is, to look at it, original footer, it looks like a mock, and it cost me 125 quid. And I just love that figure, and I'll always thank him for that. And also, Mr. Christian Summer, this is only a little item, but I remember setting up one one event, and Christian Sommer from GW Acrylic came over to me and goes, there you go, mate. I found this in my stash the other day, and he handed me a little plastic bag, and it got a light green footer, you know, the little cardboard footers that you get in the Palatoy figures, and it was for 2-1B, and I'd been looking for one for ages, and he just said, there you go, you can have that, and I'll treasure that. It's just a little something, but it meant an awful lot to me at the time, and I was really thankful. So, yeah, those two things. I mean, I've bought so much from Farthest From. Sold a lot and I bought a lot, but those two things for me are the things that stand out.
That David Aiken with his little magic bag, wasn't it?
Honestly, mate, every time I see that guy, he says, do you need one of these? And he pulls something out. It'd be like something you've been looking for years. Yes.
Yeah, I got that Tri-Logo Luke Bespin off him. And you just open up that bag and it'd be full of lovely stuff.
Yeah, he's got an incredible amount of stuff.
I think, Grant, I've got a collecting story. I can remember we go in there. It's my second or third Farthest From. Have breakfast with you, and you were like, oh, what are you looking for? And I said, no, I'm thinking about starting a Focus, either Emperor's Royal Guard or Greedo. But I said, I'd probably swing in towards Greedo. And then, you know, we finished breakfast and you go over to the hall. And I can just remember you coming in, Stu, I've managed to acquire you a hybrid Greedo to start your folk collection off. It was the most I spent on a Cardiff figure at that point. And I was like, I was like, oh. I said I wanted to buy other stuff, and Andy was like, well, just give me a down payment, you take it and pay me the rest next week. And I'm like, so it was the start of buying Greedo items. But yeah, that and my Gerald, which I bought with Marc Hockley. I mean, I do love a random purchase down at Farthest From.
Your Gerald, that's your stuffed Ewok, isn't it?
That is my stuffed Ewok, yeah. He's beautiful. I mean, we chat. He's looking at me now, he's just making me smile. There is something that I look back at now, and I've mentioned this on a recent podcast, and there was a Huffy bike there a few years back, and it was up for £750. And at that point, I wouldn't have pulled the trigger on it, but I really wish if I saw that tomorrow, this weekend, I wouldn't hesitate to bring that home. I would love that item. Is there anything you boys ever saw there that you really wish you had picked up at the time?
100%. 100%. Simon McCowan, one of the events that he did have a table. In fact, I think he might have been sharing a table with you, Stu.
Very possibly. Yeah, we often do.
He had a mint boxed IG-88 15-inch figure with the insert, with the guns, with the bombs, with the bandolier, 250 quid. And I remember saying to Lee, I really should buy that. 250 quid. I mean, I'm going back to 2016 now. This was the first event that I did. And Lee was kind of, yeah, that's not a bad price. And just as I'd got made 250 quid on my table and went over, I saw Simon reaching for it, bringing it down and giving it to somebody who'd already sold it. And that is one thing that I wish I'd bought.
There's a photo of that IG-88, Marc.
Is there? Just salt in the wounds.
No, I was looking at it. I was looking earlier when I was researching for tonight, and I saw it. And I was like, oh, that's a nice IG-88.
250 quid. At the time, that was cheap. That was cheap as well. I knew it was cheap. I mean, what are they now, boxed in that condition? £1,500?
Yeah, probably. Crazy money. So I think that was December 2016 there, Marc.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was, definitely.
What about you, Grant? There must have been pieces you've wished you'd picked up there. I mean, I do see you wandering around with stuff with 18-month payment plans, like massive piles.
Mate, loads of stuff. I'm going through the photos today, and I can't believe how much stuff I just walked past. And, you know, I see like a beautiful first edition Empire Strikes Back Palitoy X-Wing, and the box looks completely beautiful, completely mint. I probably didn't even take any notice of it at the time. Now I would grab that without even asking what the price was. Loads of stuff, mate. Maybe the Helix pens. There's a lot of Tri-Logos there that I probably should have gone for that were expensive at the time, but looking back retrospectively, were incredibly cheap. Emperor's Royal Guard. Maybe could have taken that Tri-Logo Jawa off James. That seems like quite a reasonable price now. So there has been quite a lot of stuff, and there's been lots of sidetracks as well. Because remember there was that big influx of Disney era movie cast and crew where that was coming through there. So all kinds of stuff, but can't complain. You know, always
Exactly.
did well.
Yeah.
Always. Do you know what a really nice story was? I lost my job, and so I was between jobs. I had no money. This is back in 2014. I had no money at all, but I decided to come to Farthest From and have a couple of beers. And at the end of the show, Ian Sanderson gave me an Empire Strikes Back Lando on the Kenner card, and it has got without the smile. It was about 55 quid, and he was just like, "Mate, pay me back whenever." And that was a big deal at the time. You know, I probably loved having that card and appreciated it more than when I had a stack of mocks in the back from, you know, when I was working.
Yeah, nice gesture.
Yeah.
He was a big loss. He was a big loss to Farthest From, Ian. I mean, he always had a great stand, didn't he?
But the difference as well was his cards were mint.
Yeah.
You know, there was, you know, if it had a crease on it, and oh my god, if it had a cracked bubble, he was like, "Bruh, rubbish," and chuck a really cheap price on it. And now these days, it's like I take all sorts. Yeah. I've had carded figures with the top of the bubble cut off, where you can take the figure out just because I'm not going to spend 1,200 quid on a Trilogo Death Star droid.
No. Yeah.
Ian stuff was always so well priced. I mean, I remember quibbling over I think it was £90 Kenner alternative walking Luke Bespin. £90 carded figure. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know you're talking about, you know, your best bits, what you've seen or what you had wished you had bought. But I think I want to divert it away. I just want to give a shout out actually to GW Acrylic, to Christian, because he's been there right from the very beginning and never fails. And in fact, he kind of semi-sponsored the first one because he ended up saying he would give a free loose figure case to all attendees. So, you know, Christian has always been there. Has always had a great display. And, you know, he's done his pre-sales and everything. And it's always great to see him because he always takes some pretty cool bits to show off as well. So whilst it is, you know, vintage heavy and it's brilliant, plus they do a mean cup of tea in the little cafeteria. Christian,
obsessed with that calf.
Yeah, you know,
you're obsessed with that cafeteria.
Seriously, that cafeteria. I mean, it's got everything you want, right? You could buy a Kit Kat, you could buy a cup of tea. You go over the road and there's a pub. Go over the road and there's Dave's shop. Run out of money, there's a co-op down the road with a cash machine. What more do you need? Marvelous. But yeah, GW Acrylic. You know, big shout out to them because I don't think Christian's going to be there in person this weekend. I think
he is on the Saturday, mate.
Right, yeah. But, you know, always been a massive supporter. But he, you know, Dave was the one who had the vision and Christian's the one who believed it right from day one. So it's a partnership made in heaven.
You talk about Christian. He's doing. You can only get pre-orders for this event there because of getting the stuff there. So I thought, I'm going to gorge myself a few cases and stuff. And I thought, I'd like to pick it up from Christian. I typed in that my name is Sweet Cheek Skinner. And then he then messages me about an hour later. He goes, thanks for your order. He goes, just to let you know, I'm not actually there Sunday. It's my brother. So you'll have to go to him. I've got an order for Sweet Cheek Skinner. He said he won't know who you are.
Like, no, I think he will, mate.
Yeah, I do too. If he doesn't, he will.
Dan, any regrets? We should never have any regrets, should we?
No, I mean, there's loads of things. There's so much there. But one of the things I do remember walking by and looking at, and I think, Grant, we were looking at it way back when someone had an Empire miscard, and I think it was a Lobot on a Lando card back, Kenner card. And do you remember that?
Yeah, that's going back, isn't that?
Yeah, but that's one thing that always sticks in my mind. You don't often see the Empire miscards, do you? And yeah, I can't remember how much I even wanted for it at the time. I mean, it was a few £100, but yeah, that's something I do regret not picking up. But that's that kind of stuff you see, isn't it? Even like, you know, like the point of sale stuff. Like I think someone had the Empire Strikes Back logo, the Palatoy one, and I know they're not necessarily particularly rare, but that's the only time I've seen one in person. But I think they wanted a crazy amount of money for it, or it seemed like a crazy amount at the time. But yeah.
It's, if we do a montage of some of the photos I managed to capture from the people who take photographs there are a shocking amount of pieces where I go, "Whoa, did I just walk past that?" I mean that would be, you know, in my top 10 any day of the week, and I didn't buy it. I must have been skint that day. So, well, that's Sambuca.
Well, let's talk about Sambuca because, I mean, the Saturday night, it started off as, I think you boys have said it, you got down there, and it started off as a small curry, beers, but the more people came, there wasn't enough accommodation, so we've had to move to a nearby town to be able to accommodate people. And it has grown, and there's been some great memories. I mean, last time we were out, I think it was me, Grant, Jez and Dan, and we were in Ringwood, and it was late at night. I think the pubs were shutting, and we went past a pub which was absolutely buzzing, wasn't it? It was absolutely thing, but the door was
middle of summer, band out in the garden.
Yeah, and like
I know where this is going.
So we all decided it wasn't summer, Dan. It was Christmas, because I couldn't walk for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
It was the last event we went to. So we were all like, oh, the door's locked. Let's jump over this massive fence and go in the beer garden and go into the pub. So we've all jumped over the fence. Me being a little bit more rotund than the rest of you, come down a little bit harder. Really hurt my foot. We go in there. The door's bloody open. We were trying to open a sealed one, weren't we? Around the other side. And I hobbled for about 4 weeks trying to work. I think I had Christmas, and I was like, got to the new year, and I said to Claire, I'm really in pain with this. So I went and got my heel scanned, and it was broken. Been walking around in it for about 4 weeks after that jump, but that was a great night. But there has been some great memories, hasn't there? Great evenings. Has anyone got any stories of, let's just enjoy them.
I had to share a bed with Lee one.
Not after a foul.
Not a room. I mean, that would have been all right. I've done that plenty of times, but I had to share an actual bed with him in the Augustus John. And we ended up having to put something down the middle of the bed because the thought of our arse cheeks touching during the night, it just
wear pants, mate.
It's not pleasant, honestly. And when I say he snores, it was like sleeping next to a drunken walrus. It was awful. Anybody who gets the opportunity of sharing a room or sharing a bed with Lee, you're in for a rough ride. That's not a good memory, by the way. That was a really bad memory. But there wasn't any rooms. Couldn't get any rooms, so I had to kip in his bed.
I've shared a bed with Jez, for definite. But he's all right. He likes to be Little Spoon.
I remember, I think it might have been actually the first one you came down to, Mark, in 2016. And I walked into the bar and I was quite late. And there was about 20 people who had already arrived at one of the bars in Fordham Bridge. And I walked up to the bar and he said, "Not you, mate, you're banned."
That wasn't the only time that's happened. I've said every time we seem to go into the pubs in Fordham Bridge, you seem to get kicked out. I don't think that was a one-off event.
Had you vomited in like the entrance hall the last time before?
It wasn't my fault, right? Basically, what happened was we were really drunk, and I think our friend Nick came over, and he was like, "Sambuca," and I was like, "Yeah." And I went to the bar, and they served me, and they shouldn't have served me because we were bouncing up and down at the bar. And as soon as I downed it, I threw up on the bar, and then I tried to make it to the toilet, but threw up in their porchway. And they said that they needed an industrial cleaner to come around and clean it all up, which I think it's just Sambuca, really, mate. So we were barred, and I was like, and I turned around to you lot, and I was like, "Sorry, I can't drink here. I'm gonna have to go drink next door." And then everyone just left their pub and came next door, and I thought that was amazing. That was so nice of everyone.
We wouldn't leave you sitting on your own, would we? It's like two little boys by Rolf Harris.
I remember that. Everybody it was really busy in there, and as soon as you went next door, it went really quiet.
You've always been a bit of a sicky drunk, haven't you? I can remember I was sharing a room with you, and Jez had got in my bed and gone to sleep. And Jez was in the middle room on his own, and I can remember going, "Oh, I'll take Jez's room." And then I had this knock on the door next morning, and it was Jez, and he was like, "Can I use your shower?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Grant's been sick, and it's on every single wall and the ceiling." Yeah, great memories.
Dan, I remember one of the first times meeting with you. We were up in one of the B&Bs that we later got banned from, and I was chatting to you about 90s films.
Oh yeah, we were going about Heat. I think we got to like heavy metal as well. Yeah, Heat was a big thing, wasn't it? You were
and he was
trying to convince me.
Tunes on his...
Jez was trying to sleep.
But I remember you wouldn't accept the fact that Heat wasn't the best film of the 90s. I threw your shot out the window.
I think I was arguing it was 7, but we'll have to have that argument again another day.
There's just a theme of me going to sleep, isn't there?
Do you remember that first Christmas dinner, Grant? Everyone was in rows, and we were sat at the back alongside the bar. Me, you, Nick Rayner, and what was his name?
can't remember. There was that other guy who used to be there quite
Yeah,
a bit.
he called himself something, Rob Stiley on the forum, but his name was Andy, wasn't it?
That's right.
And the four of us, we were just like literally off the bar, bang, bang, bang. And then we were just going and getting bottles of Nick went and got a bottle of Zambuca.
I went and got that. I ran up to the Tesco Express and got you a bottle. He was doing the Christmas quiz.
We were doing the Christmas quiz against Fanford. Well, it was Jedi News, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And Richard wouldn't let me and you sit next to each other. We made us sit on opposite sides of the table.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Oh, yeah, it's been some good stage.
But that first one I went to, Nick Rayner, I'd never met the guy before, and he'd recently been involved in an accident and he'd lost a couple of teeth, and he was heavily drinking with all these vinyl crate Jawas around him. So I ended up drinking with him for the evening, and then we were both staying at the Augustus John. And in the morning, I was all getting up and getting ready. There's a few people. So I think Ian was staying there as well. We went down and had breakfast. No sign of Nick. And he was staying in the room next to me. And I just went back up to his room, knocked on the window, and his face appeared at the window. And he was like, I see you down there. And I think he destroyed the hotel room as well. He'd thrown up everywhere and caught up with him an hour later. I said, did you tell the woman and you sort it all out? No, I just did a runner. He's never stayed there since. It's closed down now, but.
That's right. What?
The what?
Vinyl Cape what?
Vinyl Cape Jawa.
He got sick on the Vinyl Cape shower curtain though, hadn't he?
Yeah.
Do you remember, Grant? I think it was the second one I ever came to, because in those days it was really forum heavy. I can never forget me and you came out to the garden, and I was like, there was like a Chinese chap just standing on his own, and I said, that's Righty off the forum over there. So with that, Grant kind of like, oh yeah, I'm a friendly chap. Went over there, and all I could hear is Grant going to this bloke going on about Star Wars, and he was actually just some punter from the pub come out for a smoke, and this Grant going on about Star Wars to him. I'm standing behind them really laughing.
Mate, I died.
Wasn't there some sort of stag party that first weekend we went there, and everyone was dressed up as like Where's Wally, and they all had white and red stripy shirts on, drinking in the garden with us, and started asking us all what we were doing, and started trying to have these in-depth conversations about Star Wars with these people, and they just didn't have a clue. But it was all mental.
No, it's like I always said the Farthest From was like a stag do, and Star Wars was getting married the next day, because that's why it feels like a stag do to me.
Yeah, you're hungover, aren't you?
Yeah, you're hungover, like you can barely stand up. If someone, farts next to you, that might be the end of it for you.
Yeah,
I remember going home after the first weekend, and I was just exhausted. It was just Star Wars overload. It was like getting back from your first ever Star Wars celebration, because you just. And in fact, I was looking at the Star Wars Forum UK forum earlier on, and I was looking at the first posts which were put online after this event, I think, or during this event. So I'm there sort of on a Saturday night in the local pub with Ian, Chris and Grant, about 4 or 5 pints in, just ordered food, listening to live music, The Bankers, brilliant, unashamed, non-stop Star Wars chat, looking forward to tomorrow. And it goes down, off to bed now, several deals already been struck, and one possible special discovery. I wish I knew what we were making reference to. Cracking night meeting the guys. Grant really knows his expletive. However hard he tries, though, I'm not interested in Star Wars bubble bath. Up in 6 hours, Trey excited. And then lots more comments. And then it turns out you can get a lot of Star Wars stuff in a Toyota Corolla. But then when you go on to sort of the next pages, the amount of people just saying what an incredible weekend that was, where people were just, as I said, unashamedly just talking Star Wars, and just, I think, what's this, Grant puts a post on, well, that was awesome. Great to meet everyone, old friends and new. I've hardly had a verbal conversation about Star Wars collecting in the 18 years I've been in and out of I have been in and out of the hobby. I can't tell you how emancipating it is to drink beer and discuss Clipper, PvP, Palatoy, Trilogo, Vader saber tips for an hour. What a blast. We'll have to do it again. Amazing. So many people after this first experience, and that's just a taster after the first experience. It's the same at every Farthest From. It's just feel good times.
Yeah, long may it continue. I mean, we've got to do it all again this weekend.
There was I'm going to take a photo this time. When Grant comes wandering up the high street and I'm sat on that bench outside, I'm just going to start taking photos of him, because I've just got these memories burnt into my head. I don't know how many times I've seen that image of Grant just like a bottle of milk, green round the gills, staggering up the road.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's difficult. You know, it's not going to get any easier or change.
You should bring a spare pair of shoelaces this time, no?
Well, someone who did have quite an interesting social part, and that was Dave Shorter, who used to get up and do some talks on the Saturday evenings. But Dave's probably most remembered for proposing to his girlfriend in a hall with 40 geeky nerds looking at him and his future wife. And I caught up with Dave, and he talks about that exact moment he proposed. So, as well as my awful sound throughout this show, on this one, sadly, when I recorded with Dave, I didn't hear this, but there is a very odd interference kind of sound every few seconds. Now, I've removed them when I can, but I didn't want to lose this interview with him. So the next 10 minutes, you might hear this kind of clip, but yeah, just bear with it, because it's worthwhile hearing Dave's memories from Farthest From.
Right, I'm delighted to welcome Dave Shorter to Generation Skywalker. We're doing a little celebration show all about Farthest From. Delighted it's back. But I think a lot of people who have been to Farthest From and maybe were invested in the social would know you quite well, because you're the leading light on Mon Cal Con. I mean, you overshadowed actual Gerald Home himself that night.
Well, I don't know about that. But yeah, it's been a fun ride doing Mon Cal Con. Yeah, for the years it's gone on. Yeah, it's always a lot of fun, and like you say, the social side of it's always very good. A lot of familiar faces now, and people who have become good friends.
Yeah, sadly we've lost Gerald Home.
That was a bit of a shock. I met Gerald at a follow-up show as well, and he had a lot of time for the fans, and in a kind of fandom where that's getting increasingly harder to come by, he had a very refreshing attitude, I found.
That first night was fantastic. Now, Dave was only telling me earlier in this show that he met you through, I think, Transformers. And when it comes to Star Wars, anyone that knows you will realise that you just collect Akbar? Is that?
I do, yeah. Admiral Akbar. The majority of my collection is the Vince Kenner Akbar figure. I've branched out into the more modern versions and bits like Gentle Giant and all those other incantations that come along. But yeah, the only figure I ever seek out or buy is Admiral Akbar.
Now, I've just got to ask you, I know this is meant to be about Farthest From, but why Akbar? I'm sure a lot of people want to know that. I bet you get asked.
Yeah, it's kind of, people often expect, I think, with a lot of these things, when you drill down into it, the initial reason isn't quite as exciting as it's built up to be. But going back quite a few years now, I was at a show with my friend, with my best mate, and we saw, it was around the time Mighty Mugs were popular. So that narrows it down to quite a short window, I suppose. But when they launched the Star Wars one, they'd done all the main characters like Boba Fett and the really popular sort of cult favourites, including Admiral Akbar. And we found that quite amusing that, you know, for such a short amount of screen time, Akbar had built up this mystique or this big cult following. And so it started out a complete joke just between the two of us, because we found it funny that such a minor character was so adored. And it just started from there. And then I did a panel at a Transformers that Dave also runs called Roll Out Roll Call, and the whole thing sort of snowballed from there, really. Building up in popularity. But that's a sort of short, condensed version of where it all came from.
Now, he was telling me you did a talk a couple of weeks back at one of these events.
Recently.
Did a live unboxing.
I did. I've watched a lot of YouTube during lockdown, and I've realised one thing that the fandom seem to do with these unboxing videos these days, where the kids get whatever they've bought and the big reveal, like what's in the box. So yeah, I did a live unboxing of a recent purchase I'd made, and unsurprisingly, it's 5 vintage Admiral Akbar figures. So yeah, it was one of those things that I think when I was pulling the third one out of the Jiffy bag, it seemed like the joke was funnier when it was just me and, thinking about it than actually being in front of a room full of people. But yeah, when it always goes over okay. People are very irritable with their patience for my Akbar obsession.
Well, it is an obsession because this now, I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure Marc Daniels, who's a part of Generation Skywalker, actually designed a logo.
Yeah,
I think it was Akbar was it an MTV7?
It was. It's Akbar and Squidhead in an MTV7. Yeah.
Is it right? You got that tattooed on you as well?
I do. I have that tattooed on my shoulder blade. Yeah, I went and asked Marc if it'd be okay to get it tattooed. Just out of politeness. I didn't want to just go and get it. And he, I think he thought I was joking and asked him. But no, I went and got it tattooed. And I did do at a previous show of Dave's, I did do a reveal of the tattoo. It's the only time I've sort of taken my t-shirt off in a public forum in that way. It was very brief. It came off. Everyone saw it, and I whipped it straight back on again, and made sure there was no photos being taken. It's there, and actually, Dave made it into a little pin badge as well that was limited to I think 100 pieces, which is even more bizarre that we've had a convention exclusive for Moncalcon as well.
Moncalcon, I mean, just the whole concept, brilliant. As far as Farthest From goes, how many? I mean, you've been to a few now. I've seen you there.
Yeah,
definitely a few times. As an event, I mean, someone just collecting Akbar. Is it about collecting, or is it just about hanging out?
I think for a lot of us now, it's a lot of this has become finding cool stuff, and obviously that's a narrower window maybe for me than some. But even at Dave's events, you still uncover Mexican bootlegs and some real sort of left field pieces. But more so after lockdown, I'd say the social side of the events has really hit home. You mentioned Gerald there. There's been some people from a couple of fandoms that I'm in who haven't made it through lockdown. And that's really hit home on what actually matters about these events. It's it's just great spending time with a great bunch of people and sharing in however you enjoy Star Wars. It's always a bonkers hobby. Obviously I just collect the one figure, which is pretty mad, but there's equally as mad stuff going on elsewhere with the amounts people are paying for stuff, or it's generally pretty mad across the board. So it's just nice spending time with like-minded folk. Made some really good friends through it. Yourself and the guys on podcasts and Dave Tree himself. So yeah, I think now it's as much the social side as anything, or probably more the social side.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. Yeah.
During lockdown, it wasn't difficult to find bits and bobs to buy online. I wasn't short of boxes coming through the post, but it was the social element that I was really missing.
Yeah, definitely. Are you coming along this weekend?
I'm not going to be at this one. Like Dave said, he's just run a show, Roll Out Roll Call, which was last weekend. Sort of ventured down to New Forest for that. So this close to Christmas, finding a window for shows is a little bit tricky. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't do Farthest From this time. It'll be good to make the first one he does next year.
Yeah, hopefully back to 3 years. Now, Dave, before I let you go, there is one thing which I have to bring up, obviously. You know what this is going to be. I mean, I was there that night in the village hall that you proposed to your now wife.
Yeah.
That was quite the moment, wasn't it? I mean, I don't think anyone that I was sitting with had seen that coming.
No, so I told Dave about it, and my mate who was there with me knew about it, and that was it. I hadn't told anyone else. So yeah, Rach is always a bit of a nightmare for keeping any sort of secret or surprises from. And so I'd had to concoct the most elaborate way I could do it without her realising. I knew if I suddenly booked a trip somewhere unusual or a really romantic meal, she'd smell a rat straight away. So I thought if I get her to come along to a Star Wars show, she's not going to know what the ulterior motive is. The problem was I'd thrown her such a curveball that I think she just sort of completely stunned and then quickly scuttled off and sat straight back down, and no one knew if she'd said yes or no or what had gone on. So yeah, I think my plan, I'd over-egged it entirely, and just left her like a rabbit trapped in headlights.
Didn't you give her something like a Titanic VHS?
No, so it was the ring I'd hidden in a copy of Waterworld, so it was close.
Well, of course it was.
Titanic and Waterworld, they both involve a lot of sea, but yeah, that's kind of like our crummy little film we've ended up watching loads, and neither of us know why we've watched it as much as we have. That was sort of a ruse, because again, if I pulled out a ring box, she'd know what was happening. So yeah, having a VHS box with a ring hid in it made a lot more made for it being a surprise right up until the last second. But like I say, I think it went through surprise into absolutely stunned, and yeah, I think a few people thought it hadn't gone the way I'd hoped. A few people asked me afterwards and were like, is she all right? What did she say? Because no one had said whether she said yes or no, or wanted to hit me or what. I think she said yes, but wanted to hit me. So
it worked out, didn't it? Because you're now married, aren't you? Exactly.
Yeah. We got married the next year. Yeah. So,
and it's memorable.
So yeah, it worked all right. Yeah, it was memorable.
I talk to people and they always like, I think even with Dave, and they're like, do you remember when Dave sort of proposed?
I mean, Dave's had quite a second proposal at one of Dave's shows. The other one was at one of the Transformers shows. So yeah, he does his Cilla Black bit quite well.
I thought you meant you proposed at a Transformers show.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm not that, but Dave, can I have another go, mate?
Different audience. Yeah, brilliant. Well, Dave, that was a great memory. A real shame you're not coming this weekend, but
yeah, sorry, Stuart. Like I say, I do. I've made some great friends through the Star Wars shows, and I do enjoy the circuit. I've done a couple of the shows outside of Farthest From. It's always great to see the gang wherever I bump into them. But yeah, I'll endeavour to make the first Farthest From of next year.
Yeah, hopefully 2022 we'll see a few more meetups, and
yeah.
Have those moments. Well, Dave, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And
no bother, Stuart. It's great to chat.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Do any of you boys remember that?
Yeah, the Titanic video box.
Yeah, I remember that.
It wasn't Titanic. I thought it was Titanic as well, Dan. But I was corrected. Dave's just corrected me in that interview there. It was actually Waterworld with Kevin Costner.
I just sworn blind that was
Titanic,
their
film.
That's mad, isn't it?
VHS cassette. Yeah,
but
that's even worse, isn't it? At least Titanic made some money at the.
Yeah, definitely one of those memorable moments. Any other business, boys? Any other things you can remember? I can remember, like, Dave's always done his raffles, hasn't he? And I can remember buying a huge, great Anakin when he was a child from episode 1, face with his goggles on, from Argos. It's massive. I've still got it. And I can remember bidding on it. And Simon standing next to me, someone else was bidding on it. Simon was going, "You're not going to let this bloke beat you, are you?" not gonna let this bloke have that, and kept bidding on it. And now I've just got these two humongous pieces of cardboard, which with his face up close. I'm like, yeah, cheers, Si. Absolute buffoon.
Not on purpose.
Yeah,
Dave's
I don't
always
need
done his
Lockleg
thing. Dave's always done his things for charity, hasn't he? Can you remember when he did it for that Jess Davies, who
That
was
was
running the
brilliant, wasn't
marathon?
You might need to give some context to that, Jez.
And that might have been the first London Marathon I was running, and I think Dave got confused. So it was the first Farthest From which I had missed, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, mate, I'm running a London Marathon for this charity." And then you guys later on sent me a collection bucket with a little sign on saying, "Raising money for Jess Davies running the London Marathon." And Jess Davies was one of the other vintage collectors, punters, store traders who was often there. So I think Dave that weekend just got his Jez and Jess's mixed up. But there we go. Can I just share something with you very quickly? It's a paragraph. So this is something which Dave Tree put online, and he wouldn't have seen this, and I know that he'll be listening to this. So this is quite nice because this is the night of when the first Farthest From finished. He put something on Star Wars From UK, just saying, "I'm aching and need sleep. It was amazing and very humbling to all who came with all the crappy weather. I hope everyone enjoyed it and got something out of it in one way or another. Massive thanks to all the SWFUKers, blah, 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 blah. As a retailer, and too often I see the frustrations of the collectors living the online existence without really interacting with others face to face, which is what it was like for me pre-eBay days. Genuinely, there was probably more vintage there, over 7 and 8 stalls, than the whole of memorabilia these days. So events like these give people to take their time on items, not knowing what's going to be there, etc., etc. I'm happy to carry on with them if folk enjoyed it, but at the same time welcome any and all feedback, good or bad. Bear in mind the budget was a shoestring and the income generated from the show was minimal too. I was thinking of this sort of event could be 3 to 4 times a year, possibly. Dave." And so here's a guy who just tried it, wanted to sort of float it out there, and was just thinking, maybe we could do 3 or 4. I bet back then, never in a million years did he think that he'd be where he is now with this. And thanks, mate, because it was brilliant then, and it continues to be brilliant. And we love you for it. Yeah, I think Grant was the first one to actually comment after that, giving his feedback. It's just nice though to go down memory lane again and look at this. It's just building my anticipation even more.
Well, personally, it's a prominent part of my 30s. You know, that was one of my holidays I spent. We've almost been doing it for 10 years. And throughout my 30s, there was 2 or 3 times a year we'd go for a stag do down Fordham Bridge because of Dave. So it's been quite a prominent thing. And sitting in a room full of Star Wars now, and a lot of that's, the reason for that was because of that event. And I think we've missed the event as well because, when after you come back from Farthest From, you've got the buzz for Star Wars back again, yeah. And I think that's been missed over the last couple of years because of the pandemic. We've only had one Echo. We've had no celebration, no other real events. So I think it's important.
Yeah, definitely.
Here's the bootloads of Star Wars stuff and coming home and wallowing in it.
I want to head over to our last interview, and I mean, Jason Smith has always got a camera, and he's sticking it in your face all weekend. Let's be honest about it. You're in the pub, you're at your stall, and I say this in the interview with him, but I tell you something. For all him doing that, and at the time you're like, I don't need that in my face at the moment. He has documented this event so well since it starts. If you go over to Jason on Facebook, he's got so many photos of every one of these events, and you can scroll through them. You can see the stands, you can see the night befores, and in that regards, it is actually a really good thing. So heads up to him. So let's go and talk to Jason.
Okay, now I want to welcome Jason Smith. Good evening, Jay. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. How you doing, Stu?
We're all good, mate. We're all good. Everyone's here is buzzing about Farthest From because it's been 2 years. Be nice to get back down to the New Forest.
It would, yes. I mean, obviously, Dave had a couple of online shows during lockdown, which were fantastic, by the way. but not the same as actually turning up at the Fordingbridge Town Hall, meeting everyone, having beers and curries and various things before and after. So looking forward to that.
I mean, you just brought that up then. His events during COVID, I mean, fair play to him. They were full days, weren't they? He'd put on kind of content for like a 12-hour day, hadn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think I lasted the distance on both of them, and I had a very sore bum by the end of it. But I mean, there was a lot of really good content there. I personally, I was kind of more less is more, but you know, it was all good stuff. And the online quiz thing that he did was fantastic as well, because I've never seen an online quiz like that before, where you basically you sit on Facebook and you type the answers in, and then it would kind of cumulatively work out who'd won the quiz, which I thought was really clever as well.
Yeah, it did work well, I must admit. He does pull out some great ideas, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He works hard, bless him. He does a lot to get us our little events and.
Yeah, and it's not just our event. He does Roll Out Roll Call with the Transformer events, and then he has a more generic toy show that he puts on. And he's got a lot of events that he does, so we're just like one little small part of it.
Exactly. So let's start out. Great big shout out to Dave, because he's doing us a great turn. Now, Jace, the thing's called Farthest From because of its location, and obviously that ties in with Star Wars, but most people can drive there. I mean, the New Forest is beautiful, but you have to travel slightly different to the rest of us because you live in the city. You don't really have a need for a car in London. So when it comes to travelling, you make a great effort to get down there because it's not just straightforward, is it?
Well, I mean, I find it straightforward now because I've done it so many times. You basically you get the train to Salisbury from Waterloo. That takes about hour and a half, I think, 2 hours. And then when you get to Salisbury, you can get there via public transport. You have to do a little walk across Salisbury. You get to a bus stop called the X3, and then the bus will either take you to Fordingbridge and then onwards to Ringwood if you're staying in Ringwood. And I think to Fordingbridge it takes about 20 minutes. So I've done that journey many times, both to Fordingbridge and Ringwood. So it can be done.
Half a ton of cardboard in a suitcase as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have a full-size suitcase with a stormtrooper on it now that I've been taking to events, because most of the time I do a card pack store there called Mr. Palatoy Card Backs. It's not. I mean, when I started out doing that, I had an awful lot of card back doubles. It really was just all card backs. But I mean, the kind of stall that I do now is just a mixture of everything. I won't be doing a stall at this particular one because I'm on the stand with the Vintage Rebellion, obviously. So I'm going to be doing that. So
I've never known you not to be selling there, Jace.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously, I sell at Echo. So, but no, I mean, this show, I just thought, I mean, logistically, I was originally staying in Ringwood, and it's quite difficult kind of getting to and from the show with a case in the mornings. I just thought, you know what, I am on a podcast, I am on a stall anyway, so I'll just do that. So
what's TVR got planned for their stall? I mean, this is going to be going out Friday morning, so the day before the weekend. Got any plans, or is it just a general?
I mean, dinner and a show. I'm not sure. We'll have obviously freebies to give away and stuff like that. We'll do a bit of recording for the next podcast, as you will do. So the usual stuff.
Yeah. Be nice to see all the boys. Rich in particular, I haven't seen him for quite a while, so be nice to catch up with you all.
Yes, I haven't seen Rich for a while now as well.
As an event, Jace. Okay, I mean, there's a certain group of us who I think probably love Farthest From the most out of the UK events, and I would say you're one of them. What is it about Farthest From that stands it aside from other events in the UK?
Well, I mean, it was the event where most of us met and kind of friendships kind of grew back in the day. I mean, I've got all my photos from Farthest From queued up on my phone here, and I've got pictures starting in 2012, and there were at some points there were like 3 shows a year, and I mean, obviously, the very first people I met off the Star Wars Forum UK kind of website was back in 2006 at Celebration Europe. A group of us met up, but then it really was Farthest From when it started in 2012, where we all started meeting up on a regular basis. And we, you would go to the event and everybody would have an SWF UK t-shirt on. So, we were just like, we kind of dominated the place. But I'm looking at I think I've got pictures from the very first one that was put on in September 2012, and I can see Jez is there. I can see Dave got this rather nifty looking cake, which had his All the Cool Stuff logo on it and Retro Toy Show, big massive cake. And he put on one of his first presentations, which was a Palatoy Archive presentation called This Palatoy Thing. So even back, really at the very early shows, Dave was doing presentations and stuff. And then looking forward, the next one I've got, I think I missed show number 2 and number 3 for various reasons, but I've got one from the Christmas show from 2013. And the big thing that happened at that one, right at the end of the day, and then the show, Dave said, I'm going to do a little reveal. And he pulled out this proof sheet of Tri-Logo card backs, which was absolutely amazing. This was obviously, it was an error sheet where the colours were misprinted, and it got used to wrap up sausages in a sausage factory. And a guy who worked there saved it for his kid, and it got stuck up behind his wall for several years. I think Todd Hudson's got that now in Hawaii. But that was an amazing reveal, so I remember that. And then shows after that, I've got one where you all drove there in the camper van. Jess drove there, and you all stayed there in the camper van.
That was at Christmas. That was flipping cold.
Yeah, I've got pictures of that. I've got there's an SWF UK cake here in one of the pictures, and then I famously got my mum to knit me. We started all having competitions about wearing Christmas sweaters, and I got my mum to knit me one that said Mr. Palatoy on it, I think, or Palatoy on it, and yes, Palatoy and a load of stars and kind of TIE fighters and stuff. And then I think the next year I got to do one that said SWF UK. So still got my Christmas sweaters. So fond memories with those. And then kind of moving on from them through the years, we obviously back in those days when it was really, really quite small, most of us could find accommodation in Fordingbridge. And so we'd obviously the day before we would all arrive early and end up having curry in the Raj, which was fantastic. All those curries we had back in the Raj. So I've got lots of pictures of those. And then moving forwards, Dave started doing his family fun day on the Saturday, and then his kind of like Christmas meals on the Saturday evening. And I've got loads of pictures of those. So the early meals were the Mon Cal Con events, the one with Dave Shorter doing his presentation about Admiral Akbar, which was funny the first time, I have to admit. And then obviously the one with Gerald Home was there, who sadly passed away. And I can see, in terms of all of our friends who met up, I can see that, again, there are pictures of James Martin in there. And sadly, he's passed away as well. But fond memories with all these people. Kind of moving through the years, I've got, load more pictures of Ringwood, because we started having to stay in Ringwood because Fordingbridge was full. So night outs in Ringwood over the years. And there's just lots and lots of great memories here with all these photos. Loads more sweaters. And Dave in the infamous pork suit. I've got quite a lot of pictures of Dave in that pork suit, which it's an interesting cosplay. That's all I'm saying. There you go. There's pictures of Jez wearing his Navy hat in Ringwood when he went off to
Afghanistan,
went off Afghanistan. We had a big send off for him, so there's lots of pictures of that. Loads of presentations. I mean, I think Gus. This will be his 3rd or 4th time at Fordingbridge. Matthias has been before, so he's another one who's come before. And then the last show I've got a picture of was Christmas one, December 2019, and that was the one just before COVID. So that's the last one I've got a picture of.
That's some great memories in there, Jace. That's some great. Yeah. I mean, I know you've always got your camera, and I've seen people. Oh, Jace, you always take photos of me. But do you know what? I'm glad you do it, because you come away from those events, and 3-4 years later, I know that you've got those photos on there. You can just open them up, and you take so many, and it's kind of, it really does document the events. So if anyone has missed them. I mean, you have got all the ones apart from 2 or 3. You said you missed the first 2, and I've got a funny feeling you missed one once for a friends convention, or am I making that up?
I wouldn't have missed it for a friends convention. I wouldn't think.
That's what I've got in my head, Jace. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, it's the same. There's a curry that I go to with ex-work colleagues that I've been going to for like 15 years. I remember the early days there were people like, don't take pictures, but we've got 15 years worth of curry photos now.
Exactly.
So
You know what? It is there, and it's well documented for you. I mean, we've had some great Saturday nights. I know you just brought them up, but I can remember having a curry in Ringwood with you and turning to my left, and you're asleep in your curry.
Oh, that was the infamous night of the Old Rosie. Yeah, I had far too much Old Rosie.
That is right.
I almost drowned in my curry, and then I couldn't get into my hotel in. I was at the White Hart, and I couldn't get in, and I really needed the toilet. And James Martin turned up and saved me and got me inside the hotel. So yeah, that was quite a big night. Yeah.
And I know you talked about the town hall and that, and you brought Dave Shorter up with his things, but of course Dave proposed on a Saturday night in that hall.
That was quite a thing as well. I mean, well, they got married and they're still married, so we obviously did something right there.
It did do something right, didn't it? Yeah.
Dave's doing another Christmas meal in the town hall, which I've got a ticket for, and I don't know what he's got planned for that. But I mean, he's got a number of quite big kind of guests that he's announced for the fun day on the Saturday. People who don't regularly do shows and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Because I'm going up on the Friday night now.
So, Jace, before we close out,
yeah,
purchases. What has been in your mind your 1 or 2 best purchases you've ever made from Farthest From?
Oh, now you're asking the question. What have I purchased at Farthest From that's been?
Did you get your resealed Varna Cape Jower at Farthest From?
Oh, I picked up a transition bobble Jawa, yeah, and that was on a lot of cards that Dave was selling on behalf of someone, and it was really nicely kind of open bubble, and I got that for a very reasonable price. A lot of people have asked me to sell that. I've still got it, so that was probably, looking back, that was probably one of the best things I've got. But every show there's kind of like so much stuff to pick up, so I'm looking forward to see what I can pick up this show, because Vectis, it was just, everything was just far too pricey for me at Vectis. I bid on one card back, and I think I gave up bidding at £500.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Card backs and everything. Everything's just so collectible.
Yes.
Should have held on to your doubles for a couple of years, Jace. You've been rolling in it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember back in the day selling like Boba Fett Pelotoy 30 backs, and I remember having it on sale at Celebration Europe, and I wanted £50 for it, and Darren Simpson was looking at that going like, oh, that's a bit pricey. But, those regularly sell for hundreds of pounds now. It's kind of madness.
Yeah, madness. It is madness. And are you on the lookout for anything, or is it just about the event and if there's anything there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've got a number of focuses that I've kind of like started over lockdown. So, HCF, I've still got a lot of gaps in HCF that I'm looking to fill up. I know Dave's got a lot of 40th anniversary Helix stuff, and I've got one of the display boxes there which I'm trying to fill up. So hopefully I'll clear him out on the Saturday.
Good idea. Well, Jace, I cannot wait. Okay, it's only a few days away. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight. Look forward to the photos. I'll definitely get a recording with you while we're down there about how your weekend's going.
Lovely. Okay, well, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you the weekend, mate.
There you go. Jason Smith there this weekend, not selling his card backs, but part of the TVR team. So this show happening this weekend. We are this is going out Friday morning, so we're just hours away from this. So for anyone travelling down to the show, we are going to be there both Saturday and Sunday. So if you're coming to the Saturday fun day, myself, Jez and Grant will be on our stand, not really a stall, and hoping maybe the others will pop in and you might see them as well. And then, of course, Sunday, the entire team will be there. We want to do interviews. We want to chat to you. Come and meet us. We've got a few little giveaways. We're going to have a Star Wars party. Lots going on with us, so please do come and have a chat with us. If you listen and you've never met us, come over, make yourself known. We're all pretty charismatic and open and approachable, apart from Craig, who's a little bit a little bit spiky, but the rest of us are pretty friendly. Boys, what are we looking for? And you go in there looking for anything, or is it just going to be, if I see something, I'll get it? Jez, I mean, you've started a couple of focuses recently.
Yeah, no, I'd love to be able to. Whilst recently recently we've not had one for ages. The last few I've got a few beyond the toys things. I don't think you can beat that whole carded figure thing. I'd like to come home with a carded figure. Not sure which one yet, but you know what I'm looking forward to. But yeah, carded figure would be great.
Nice. Jez is after a carded figure. Dan?
I've learnt my lessons with Farthest From. I never go expecting anything. Yeah, what's there is there, and I'll see what takes my fancy. Been updating upgrading a few boxed items lately, so I'll see what's on show.
Okay, Marc?
A reseal 45A, Palatoy 45A or 45B would be nice. Yeah.
Nice.
But like Dan says, don't go expecting to find a certain thing, because you rarely find what it is, exactly what you're after. It's always
you don't know what you want until you get there. I think that's the safest way to put it.
I think you might want some bootleg Luke X-Wings, because there might be a couple there, from what I've heard.
Jez is obviously going to do a Dave Aitken and walk around with a little bag.
That's exactly it. Come to me for your Luke X-Wings.
Grant?
Well, I'm picking up a Trilogo hand half off yourself. 2017, I left 2 Leia half Trilogos at the convention and regret it. So I'd like to pick up a Leia half. That's been my number 1 most desirable item this year. I managed to get my number 2 the other day, but the number 1 most desirable item was the Leia half on the Trilogo. That'd be so nice to cap off the year.
Nice.
I don't know why I tell people this now. Now the price of that Leia half's just gone up 200 quid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when a football team sells a player for 100 million and everyone else knows they've got a lot of money.
Yeah.
The replacements all go right up. Yeah, cannot wait. I mean, I'm just slowly putting together my loose collection again. So I had this chat with Marc Hockley, and he's already messaged me today going, which other figures are you looking for? I've got a load. So, yeah, and I'm definitely want to walk away with a mint on card. What I will say is someone that was always at Farthest From was James Martin, and this is the first event since his sad passing over the lockdown period. And I bought many a thing off James. I know that I can turn around. I mean, the last Farthest From I went to, he was collecting the Trilogo 159 stickers, and I had it on the hand carbonite, and I swapped for his, and his was proper mint. It didn't have the sticker on it, but it's a proper mint Trilogo, and it's nice to have that piece. I've also got his 12-back Chewbacca, which had the extra 20 figures sticker on the back. But he will be missed. I mean, he was always there for the socials, always had a stall or a stand there. He would definitely be missed this show.
Yeah, there's going through the photos earlier, there was a lot of photos with James in it, and quite poignant that he won't be there this time, and it was sad to remember that, but also it was nice to see those photos at the same time.
Yeah, definitely raise a glass for him on the Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Chaps, weekend, I can't wait to see you all. I've been very anxious about coming to this event, I mean, for personal reasons, but I am excited about seeing you boys and just having a good get-together, because I do miss it. But, yeah, hopefully we'll all get that bug and have some great interviews. Let's not do what we used to do and go there with the plan of doing interviews and come back with nothing. But,
yeah, you know what happen.
I think Dan, Marc and Craig will certainly be on top of all that if we do go rogue.
Yeah, keep us on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, Craig's pretty good at that, isn't he? In fairness to him. But boys, can't wait. Love the show. Love Farthest From. Love you boys. I can't wait to get down Friday and have that first beer and just have a weekend of Star Wars loving.
It's going to be good.
Yep, really looking forward to it. Let's go mental.
Keep an eye if you can't make it or for any reason. Keep an eye on our social media. I'm sure there'll be posts on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just search for Generation Skywalker over there. We will try to upload some images as we go over the weekend. Also, check out our YouTube channel. There's loads going on over there. And of course, this podcast was to take you down there. Obviously, the podcast following this in the next few weeks will have our interviews that we do get. And if you don't remember any of this, just go to www.generationskywalker.com where you can find links to everything. But it is, for this week, for Farthest From, goodbye from Grant.
Good night, lads. See you in 2 days.
Goodbye from Mark.
Good night. See you in 2 days.
Goodbye from Dan.
Good night. See you in, I think it's 1 day. By the time this goes out.
Yeah. And goodbye from Jez.
See you soon, guys. Can't wait.
I'm going to say goodnight because this is going out Friday and I'm going to see Grant and Jez tonight. Oh, we're going to be drinking Baileys out of our eyes. I can't wait. It is good night from me, and we are Generation Skywalker.